Sunday night is football night. With the biggest games.
One of the greatest performers ever.
Brightest stars.
That is just crazy.
Unbelievable.
And the best team. Primetime's #1 show is back. Sunday Night Football, only on NBC.
The nighttime scene on South Beach in Miami. Always a party time there, but they're working at the Miami Dolphins home, which is now known as Hard Rock Stadium. The finishing touches being put on a magnificent makeover. So tonight, the Dolphins have to come about 220 miles northwest to Orlando and Camping World Stadium. That's the old Citrus Bowl, where the youngest head coach of the NFL, Miami's Adam Gase, continues to rebuild the Dolphins on the field. Tonight, Miami takes on Dan Quinn and the Atlanta Falcons on an NBC Sunday Night Football preseason special. Well, hi everyone, Mike Tirico in for Al Michaels along with Chris Collinsworth and Michelle Tafoya, and we welcome you to season 11 of the Sunday Night Football package on NBC. 2 weeks from tonight, it's the kickoff to the 2016 season, the rematch of Super Bowl 50 with the Carolina Panthers taking on the Broncos in Denver, and then the Sunday night season opens with the other two teams from last year's Final Four, the Arizona Cardinals and the New England Patriots. The Patriots always the target in the AFC East. Tonight a chance to see where the Dolphins are as they try to rebuild and try to get to the top of this division. Time to say hello to a longtime friend. I've been a longtime fan. Finally a teammate, Chris Collinsworth.
Good having you with us, buddy.
I'm looking forward to it. Let's talk about tonight and what we're going to see here, Chris, with Miami. Adam Gase is their new head coach.
Right.
He's made his name on the offensive side of the ball. He's got a talented quarterback in Ryan Tannehill. What can they do together?
Well, we know this offense works, right? We've seen it in other places, and Adam Gase is still installing the offense. Ryan Tannehill is still learning the offense. They're still creating plays and names of plays for the no-huddle offense out there. The big question is, are they going to be ready for the Seahawks defense on opening day? And we'll get a look at it here tonight.
This Miami team that was 6-10 last year. Atlanta was 8-8, but they started 5-0. They have Matt Ryan and Julio Jones. Question now is, what else do they have?
Well, they've got Devontae Freeman, and he's pretty good, too, on the offensive side. So I think they will score some points. I don't have any doubts about that. The questions are on the defensive side. They're trying to get younger. They're trying to get faster. But in that effort to get younger, there's a chance on opening day they will have 6 starters in their first or second year. That could be a little dangerous. We'll see what they look like tonight.
Yeah, it's an important night for them, important night for all these guys. It's preseason week 3. You see the most of the starters. So Matt Ryan, Julio Jones and company into the second half. For Miami, it's Tannehill and Sue, and we'll kick it off from Orlando in a moment.
NBC Sports welcomes you to the following presentation of the National Football League.
So this will be the site of the Pro Bowl at the end of the season. Falcons, Dolphins tonight. They haven't hosted a preseason game here since 1997. A little bit of extra effort to make sure everything was ready for tonight. For more on that, a hello to Michelle Tafoya.
Hello, Mike. Yeah, the last time an NFL game was held at a neutral site, it got canceled. 18 days ago, the Pro Football Hall of Fame game in Canton, Ohio, was called off after the field was deemed unplayable by both the NFL and the NFL Players Association. But here in Orlando, a very different story. Now, just last night, this stadium hosted a Major League Soccer game, which ended around 9:30 p.m. local time, and immediately afterward, the artificial surface was cleared so crews could clean it and paint it. Goalposts were put in. Several crews worked through the night, and they continued to manicure the field throughout the day. Now, NFL officials I spoke to told me it was a seamless process, and all of the players I spoke to during the pregame, Mike, said the field conditions are just fine.
Good thing, and it's a nice, warm, humid night here in Central Florida as Matt Bosher is set to kick it off for the Falcons. Now, the touchbacks are an interesting story to watch in this preseason because a touchback, as you may know, brings it out to the 25-yard line, not the 20, and thus far, touchbacks have been down compared to the entirety of last season. Some of that are return guys, some of it are kickers who might not make it. Jakeem Grant, who is an exciting return man, is showing a little bit of sizzle for the Dolphins. Back deep to receive, and off we go from Orlando. And it's about 3 deep. Double clutch Damian Williams on the opposite side of Grant will take it, and he will get hit hard at the 12-yard line. Eric Weems, outstanding special teamer, been to the Pro Bowl for his special teams play, made the stop.
Eric Weems going to come down and give a shot here. That is a wide receiver delivering that kind of blow. You could see Williams sort of chop his feet just a little bit, and Williams did not. What a way to start for him. That's impressive.
They want to think about staying in the end zone, taking it to 25 instead of taking a hit like that.
You know, that's what they're talking about, though. If you hit it high enough and you leave it down there, and now all of a sudden you got to start on the 12, that's tough.
So Ryan Tannehill will start, and he will keep on the zone read. First run for a good athlete in Tannehill. He'll take it out to about the 34-yard line. Pick up a 22.
Well, it's not that hard on the... Just read that guy right there. When he goes down inside, that means Tannehill, a former wide receiver in college, just pull it down. And Mike, you and I do all right with that hole right there. That's, you know, he didn't run as much. His numbers running were way down a season ago, but it looks like now they're going to install some of that and run it.
Ran it 32 times last year. First down, first throw. Jordan Cameron, the tight end, with the catch just shy of the 40-yard line. It'll be second down and 4 coming up. Tannehill last year, again, this was a coaching change. Joe Philbin started, Dan Campbell took over. So it was an offense, Chris, where he didn't have a lot of freedom at the line of scrimmage.
And the complete opposite of that right now, which is what we were talking about in the opening on camera. He can get up there like a Peyton Manning and redirect whatever he wants right now.
And on second and 4, there is time, and out of the backfield, a first down with Jay Ajayi. He's the second-year man out of Boise State, and for now, Adam Gase has Ajayi as his starting running back.
Yeah, Adam Gase, he's an interesting guy, isn't he? He got a chance to work with some of the more famous people in the National Football League, but maybe in particular Peyton Manning. You know, those two sort of had a chance to really bond. Then he goes to Chicago, did a great job with Jay Cutler, and now he's the head coach.
38th youngest in the league. First run for Ajayi over midfield into Atlanta territory. So Ajayi in his second year. Arian Foster is here, the veterans in the wings, talented receiving core, including Jarvis Landry, who caught 110 last year. Big story up front, Laramie Tunsil, the first-round pick. You see the Pro Football Focus position rank. He was the 8th best tackle in the NCAA last year, but he's moving into guard. And next to him, a story we're going to watch tonight, Anthony Steen at center. Very little experience at that position, as Ajayi carries for about a half yard. Stopped by the Falcons' Deion Jones. So Steen, interesting story, out of Alabama, a couple of years on NFL rosters, mostly practice squads. So he's got experience around a championship team, but not at center. Chris, he had never played center, and because of an injury to Mike Pouncey, a hip injury, he's starting here tonight.
Yeah, when they first told him he was moving to center, he thought it was a joke. He's like, what? What? Never played there before. And so here he is, and we're just a couple of weeks away from opening day.
Still unclear if Pouncey will be ready for opening day. 3rd and 5, Tannehill's got the first down. Kenny Stills catches it at the 41-yard line. Good-looking opening drive here against this Atlanta defense. Vic Beasley's going to play linebacker in some of the base, but in nickel, which they were in 2/3 of the time last year, he's going to be still pass rushing. Linebacking core, rookies, they drafted speed. They're going to be young, they're going to be fast. Howard Jones and Campbell going to do in the secondary. Best of the bunch is Desmond Trufant, the corner in his 4th year. And the first-round pick, Keanu Neal, 22, safety to watch tonight. Pass deflected, and on cue, it's intercepted by Trufant. So off the deflection, Trufant, Pro Bowler last year, comes up with the turnover. Rolling down the field pretty smoothly. Pass intended for Stills. Trufant comes away with it. Falcons ball when we come back. Sunday Night Football is brought to you by Samsung. Do more with the new Galaxy Note 7. And by Ford. We go further, so you can. It's not too far from NASA. Astronaut John McBride. Chance to toss the football over the Kennedy Space Center, nearby Cape Canaveral.
Let me tell you how close I lived to that thing. I went to Titusville Astronaut High School.
Did you really?
That one. Oh, yeah, my dad was the principal. How about that?
See, good facts right away. Matt Ryan throws to Devontae Freeman, and that is complete. Let's go back to that pick. What happened, Chris?
Well, the Dolphins really had it going, didn't they? And then Brooks Reed, who was blocked pretty well on the play by Juwan James, got his hands up and tipped it up in the air, and it was Trufant that came down with it. So, but that no-huddle offense was looking sharp. And I think if you're Adam Gase and Ryan Tannehill, you kind of look at that as kind of a fluky play and feel pretty good about that first drive.
Gain of 4 on the completion to Freeman. Ryan back to the air and across. Julio Jones, as good as you can find, to the 45-yard line. An 18-yard first down game.
I'm not sure if you took your whole defense and tried to guard Julio Jones, you could pull it off. And this is going to be one of the question marks for the Miami Dolphins all season. Tony Lippett out there trying to cover up. But this guy is, if he's not the best, Antonio Brown and he are in a pretty good competition for being the best. Phenomenal player.
Got to the league lead in receptions with Brown last year. Freeman, Miami had all those holes plugged and nowhere to go. It'll be no gain for Devontae Freeman. Cole Misi made the tackle. So Atlanta, again, the Pro Football Focus position ranks. You see Julio Jones, number 2 there. Freeman had an outstanding year. No more Roddy White. Mohamed Sanu will be the complimentary wide receiver for Atlanta. And as far as the guys up front, tough, good run blocking group, and a new leader, Alex Mack, the center, a Pro Bowler during some of his time, 7 years in Cleveland. They needed to shore up that position, and they got one of the better ones in the league. Gain of 1. Back to the ground with Freeman, and once again it is Koa Misi making the tackle.
I'll tell you, Koa Misi is just a hammer inside. If he has a weakness, maybe a little bit in pass coverage, but watch this guy right here. Nobody is just going to move him. It really doesn't matter. And Patrick DeMarco, number 42, is probably the best fullback in the game today. And Misi able to just slip off and make a play and set up this third down. Showing a little bit of that double-A blitz look.
One comes, one linebacker drops back. Ryan gets away from the first hit, throws to Jones, incomplete. Michael Thomas in there in coverage for Miami. It'll bring up 4th down. Cameron Wake playing and getting there.
Yeah, Cameron Wake really with his first efforts of the season here and working against one of the better right tackles in Ryan Schrader. Sure is good to see him. You just wonder if Cameron Wake, who had 7 sacks in 7 games last year, had played the whole season, what might this have looked like if Mario Williams can play like Mario Williams again with Ndamukong Suh in there? This could be some kind of defensive line.
You got the names.
They sure do.
Matt Bosher, the kick. It's a 39-yarder, fair caught by Jakeem Grant at the 15-yard line. 5:45 into the opening quarter. Preseason game 3 for the Falcons and the Fins. Don't miss a moment of Sunday Night Football with the NBC Sports app, available on your laptop, tablet, and connected TV devices. Watch at NBCSports.com/live or download the app. Mike Tirico in for Al Michaels with Chris Collinsworth and Michelle Tafoya. Preseason game 3. The Falcons have opened up 2-0 in the preseason. Dolphins 1-1. This is the second drive for Ryan Tannehill and Miami. Ajayi got away from the first tackle, but nothing else. Keanu Neal and Chris, this is what we're watching with the Falcons. Their young speed on D.
And that's exactly right, Mike. We're talking about Deion Jones, Devondre Campbell, and Keanu Neal, who is the number 1 pick on that one. Going to come up from right there. But you will see the one thing they were really concerned about with this Falcons defense was that they were slow up the middle, that their linebackers were just not athletic enough, their strong safety wasn't athletic enough, and they fixed all that in the offseason with those 3.
Good toss by Tannehill. He finds Devontae Parker, an important part of this Miami offense, to give him some explosive plays. He gets back to the original line. It'll be 3rd and just under 10.
You know, Mike, we were just talking about it, though. Do you have the guts as an organization for the Atlanta Falcons to make that move? You know, do you say, all right, we're going to put all these young kids in there, because they also have Jalen Collins, who was suspended. So Brian Poole might end up being your nickel corner in the ball game. So all those young players, do you put them all on the field at the same time and try and grow it, or just try and go win games this year?
We've got a coach in his 2nd year, went 8-8 last year. 3rd and 9 for Tannehill, and he'll get the first down with Jarvis Landry. Well, the man who caught 110 passes, went to the Pro Bowl last year, moves the chains.
On the outside, Juwan James right here going against Vic Beasley, who they hope is going to be the hammer on this pass rush. But look at Juwan James. And you talk about the Miami Dolphins, they basically have 4 left tackles out there on the field. It's unbelievable. There's a guy I love, though, Jarvis Landry. What a great slot player he is.
The pistol from the 27-yard line. Quickly back to the hands of Kenny Stills. That's nice. We went the first half of the first quarter of a preseason game with no flags. How great was that?
That's strong.
Now we've got one.
Pass interference, number 14. Offense, 10-yard penalty, still first down.
Been hearing that voice for a long time. Walt Coleman, the dean of NFL referees, and they got Landry trying to clean up some of those early blocks on those quick passes.
You can block within a yard of the line of scrimmage, but now once you start driving that guy down the field, now you've got a problem, and that's why the flag was thrown.
So it's first and 20, and again, it's Ajayi with the carry. Jay Ajayi just past the 20-yard line on that carry. So Arian Foster is here, but they want to see, Chris, what Ajayi can do and how much he can do, because when you go this quick, you've got to keep that running back on the field for a whole series.
Well, he used to play soccer his whole life. Maybe he's the guy to be able to do that. What an interesting guy to talk with, right? Grew up in London and played soccer and said, hey, my dad never really threw me balls. They always worried because I dropped passes. He'd kick me balls, but he never threw them to me.
Mom English, dad Nigerian, moved to the States at an early age, picked up football in his teens in Texas. Tannehill's pass is late and incomplete for Kenny Stills. Really a chance for another pick for Desmond Trufant.
Well, Desmond Trufant is the best that they have out here, and he is a little like Richard Sherman. You think he's looking at the receiver? He's not. He's looking in the backfield at that quarterback, and when the quarterback cocks his arm, he is going to make the break. There is Beasley with a little spin move, a little Dwight Freeney-esque, who, of course, now he gets a chance to learn directly from.
That's right. They signed Freeney. He is with this team. He's not here tonight, just a slight injury. Not expected to keep him out for the opener. Arian Foster has checked in for the Dolphins on 3rd and 16. Brooks Reed brought the heat. The pass to Jordan Cameron was dropped, incomplete, and a good-looking first drive is not followed by a strong second one for Miami.
Yeah, and Jordan Cameron dropping that ball has to concern Adam Gase. I mean, this has been a little bit of an issue for this football team. They're looking for somebody at the tight end position to step up. I mean, Adam Gase has had Julius Thomas, some really good tight ends, and their drops have just been a problem at tight end.
At Dar to kick. Eric Weems, who made the good tackle on the opening kickoff, back deep to receive. Punches 43 yards, and here comes Weems, a return of about 4. Mike Ho, who's done a nice job as a linebacker when given an opportunity for Miami in this preseason, made the tackle. Second drive for the Falcons coming up. No score. This is one of the hot coaches in the league, Vance Joseph, getting his first chance as a defensive coordinator. He was the defensive backs coach with Cincinnati. The group that he has to be good up front if they're going to be good this year. And Chris already mentioned Ndamukong Suh and Mario Williams, Jason Jones. We've seen others off the edge like Cameron Wake early on. Linebacking core, they made a trade with Philadelphia, picked up Kiko Alonso. How he performs in the middle might tell a lot about how this team does this year. And again, you look at those ranks of Pro Football Focus. See Rashad Jones, number 2 safety last year. Very good safety play from him. They added Issa Abdul-Quddus, who played for Detroit, but the corners and that middle linebacker, Alonso, how are they going to do? Big part of how good Miami can be on this side of the ball this year. He's down from the 40. Tevin Coleman is in, the backup running back, second year out of Indiana, and he gains a couple of yards to the 42.
Tevin Coleman's an interesting guy. I watched him play at Indiana, and I can remember a couple of runs that he had against Ohio State where he broke out, and he's playing for Indiana, so they didn't have a lot of runs that broke out. And I'm telling you, he ran away from every cornerback that Ohio State had on the field, and they always have at least one first-round pick at Ohio State. I said, who is that guy? And now here he is doing it in the NFL.
He got caught up in the traffic there, couldn't get to the screen, and he's pulled down. Jelani Jenkins with that initial hit, and Ndamukong Suh following up.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, one of the one of the real falsehoods of last season is that Ndamukong Suh did not have a good year. He had a tremendous year, maybe arguably his best year.
Really?
And I think when people came to watch him play, they expected him to be J.J. Watt and have 20 sacks.
Right.
Well, that's not who he is. He's an interior defensive lineman.
3rd and 12. Ryan throws the slant complete. The spot will be right near the first down mark. Justin Hardy brings it in, very close to midfield, but a yard shy. And it'll be 4th and 1.
I tell you, the way Atlanta ran the football a week ago was one of the best rushing performances I have seen, at least in a preseason game, in a long time. And I think Alex Mack being in there at the center position is making a huge difference for them. His ability, they do a lot of those zone plays where all the offensive linemen go left or go right, and they really create opportunities for him to get out in front of plays.
Something you might not do in the regular season. Your side of the 50. Go for it on 4th and 1. And the Dolphins come up. It is Suh and Kiko Alonso there at the point of attack. So Matt Ryan and Atlanta stopped on 4th and 1 by Suh and the Dolphins.
Michelle Tafoya back in Orlando, and Miami rookie tackle Laramie Tunsil was at the center of one of the most unusual NFL draft stories we can remember. Projected as a lock to be a top 5 pick, Tunsil's stock nosedived after video images of him smoking marijuana through a gas mask were revealed on his own Twitter account just 13 minutes before the draft began. Tunsil went from a top 5 pick to number 13 overall, losing an estimated $8 million along the way. Tunsil told us he still doesn't know who's responsible for hacking his Twitter account, but he said, "I was looking at any team to take me, and I'd give it all I've got. Life is about live and you learn, Mike."
And now, Michelle, he's learning at a different position. Lifelong tackle. Now he's playing guard. So in addition to many eyes on him because of the attention of draft night, now as he hits the football field, it's an adjustment as well. Dolphins take over in Falcons territory at the 48. Tannehill had nothing on the bootleg. He hung in there nicely till he found his tight end Deion Sims, the 39-yard line. Chris, we talked to Tunsil. What'd you think about him when we sat and got a chance to visit with him?
I liked him, you know,
Yeah.
I did. But as far as who's responsible, he's responsible. You know, he made a life choice and he had to live with the consequences. It was a few drops in the draft or whatever the case may be. But, you know, he's a very bright young man. I think he learned a lesson. He said, you know, that's what life is. You mess things up and you go on. And I just think that's how he's looking at it right now. His teammates have been good to him. They never really made a huge issue of it once he got in the locker room, and he's a football player now.
Blocking there for Arian Foster, picked up the first down. Mike Tannenbaum had to make the choice as the slide was going on. Executive Vice President for Football Operations, long time with the Jets. Tannenbaum went to the agent world for a couple of years, then came to Miami, hired a new coach, and then had to make that decision. And once he was able to get some clarity through Tunsil's agent that the video that surfaced was not new, was a couple of years old, as that was going on the clock, he said, okay, we're good enough with our due diligence. We can pick him here. And they take Tunsil in the first round and slide him in at guard as he breaks into the lead. Tannehill about to get hit again, gets it away, and there is Arian Foster. Breaks away from a tackle, and we saw a lot of that in the best days of Foster in Houston.
Well, here's the reason you're excited if you're a Miami Dolphins fan. Because in this no-huddle offense, the goal is to try and run 10, 12 plays in a row. And a guy like Arian Foster can stay on the field and handle all the responsibilities that go with that position, blocking, catching, and running.
And Keanu Neal, who couldn't make the tackle, the first-round pick, the 17th overall pick with Air counting on, is the one who is injured for the Falcons. Throwing him right in the lineup. A little concern here for the safety.
First round draft pick of the Atlanta Falcons, Keanu Neal, and nobody wants to see that, least of all Atlanta Falcons fans. Watch his right knee and see if it buckles just a little bit there. He was grabbing it after missing this tackle. Give him credit. I think he was hurt well before that tackle was attempted. Tried to hang with it, and great concern from all.
Yeah, Chris, this is a guy who's so important. That's strong safety position, very important in Dan Quinn's defense. And people keep saying this is the Cam Chancellor type. Remember, Quinn, the Falcons coach, came from Seattle. So looking for the pieces that the Seahawks defense has. And that was an important one. He's out. Foster back in. And Arian Foster, 15-yard line. Nice run there on first down as Sean Weatherspoon escorted him to the sideline. That whole career in Houston and the injury last year against the Dolphins. And now you wonder, a man just turned 30 yesterday. What's left with Arian Foster?
The great philosopher. If you spend any time at all with Arian Foster, one of the more interesting guys in the National Football League. He can figure out an offense and figure out a defense about as quickly as anybody I know. And if he's right, he is going to be a major factor this year.
Tannehill completes it to Jarvis Landry. Another good-looking drive for Miami there in the red zone with the first down at the 12-yard line.
Well, Ryan Tannehill is looking good, and no reason to not look for this young man right here. He probably was the best player on this offense a season ago, and when he gets in the slot, there are just too many different ways for someone to go with his quickness. Big play guy, and just converts third downs for him all the time.
Adam Gase, head coach, first year, he's calling the plays. He didn't want to give that up. That's his bread and butter. Thought about it for about 2 seconds. Tannehill with snap trouble there. Remember, we told you that Anthony Steen is in his first game as a center, his first year in that position. Played a little bit in the first preseason game, but Tannehill able to get back on it.
Well, Matt Ryan may be able to relate to this a little bit. Some exchange problems for them a year ago. And you just don't want that as a quarterback this early in the season, in the game, because the snap should not be something you even think about, right? And we were talking to Matt Ryan a little bit about that and the problems they had. It's like when you've got to think about getting the snap, there are too many other things to think about out there. So you hope that's a thing that they don't see a lot of.
Foster on the inside run for just a couple of yards. When we talk about, you mentioned it earlier, Chris, all the tackles they have. Brandon Albert's been over there left tackle for a while. Tunsil was in college. Steen, no experience at center. Bushrod started the Super Bowl at left tackle for New Orleans. Jawan James, a right tackle, who also played some left tackle when Albert was hurt a few years back. So they got the tackle position covered.
With that they do, and you'd think they'd be good pass blockers. The question's going to be, can they come off the ball and handle some of those big defensive tackles inside? And that'll be something we'll get into a little bit here as well.
3rd and 12, and short of the first down, but pulled in by Kenny Stills at the 5-yard line. Desmond Trufant in coverage. As the quarter will wind down, we'll see if Adam Gase decides to kick the field goal or go for it on 4th down.
They went for it last week.
Jump into the line quick, but the quarter will just run out on them. They try to catch Atlanta with that tempo on the 4th down decision, but it'll happen on the other side. After 1 in Orlando, Falcons nothing, and the Dolphins nothing. And we'll have more from Orlando after these messages. Second quarter here in Orlando. Atlanta and Miami scoreless. No change in the decision for Adam Gase as we switched ends at the stop between quarters. Still going for it. Chris, like you said, he did this against Dallas in the last preseason game.
Yeah, offensive coordinators love going for it. Head coaches sometimes get out of that mode. We'll see if he has more success here.
Devontae Parker, bottom of the screen, a guy they need to make plays in the red zone. Big rangy guy. Tannehill throws underneath, and Foster gets the first down. Didn't get in the end zone, but it'll be 1st and goal as Foster was in front of the linebacker, Paul Warlow.
That's where you just love having veteran players on your team. So many guys get excited in these situations and cut off their route and don't pick up the first down because they have to come back to the ball or whatever. That time you saw the veteran Arian Foster make sure he had that first down and make another nice catch. Boy, he catches the ball so easily, doesn't he? Just looks so natural doing it.
It looks really good, too. Most we've seen of him in this preseason. 1st and goal for the Dolphins. Bring in the 3 tight ends to block. And nowhere to go for Foster. Sean Weatherspoon, a linebacker who's been forgotten a little bit because of the young guys who have come in. Remember, he was a 1st-round pick of the Falcons back in 2010. Was with Arizona last year. Now back in the ATL.
Yeah, had some injury issues there with the Achilles, but you know, these linebacker positions are up for grabs. Vic Beasley is supposed to be the Sam linebacker, but now he's in a battle with Philip Wheeler. And look at this we got going out here.
You got everybody out here except for Jordan Cameron, the tight end. Dan Quinn's running down to try to call a timeout. The Atlanta coach doesn't get it. Cameron can't come up with the slant. Damian Parms, the safety who came in for the injured Keanu Neal, broke it up.
Here we go over here. We've got all four, but all they're trying to do is set up a one-on-one. You remember back to the Denver days, and they just want to have the option, run a slant or run a fade. One of the two out there. But so far, they have not had success throwing those slants to Jordan Cameron the way that they did with Julius Thomas back in Denver.
Isn't that one of those plays, hey, we need to get this guy going a little bit. Let's try to give him one down here.
I think that's exactly right.
3rd and goal, and on the ground, Foster, that smooth cut to the end zone. Arian Foster, touchdown Miami.
Call this butter. Watch this block around here on the end, though. Jordan Cameron is going to make up for it a little bit.
Yeah.
But this is so nice. Arian Foster just so casually makes the cut like he's been there a million times before, which he absolutely has. And I tell you, I think he's going to be a factor, don't you? That
really
looks pretty good to me.
That was a good-looking drive. Andrew Franks, an extra point now permanently extended. Snap from the 15, 33-yard kick. And the second-year man from RPI with the PAT. When he went to 4 Pro Bowls in Houston, you saw a lot of this, 54 touchdowns. Arian Foster in the end zone for Miami. And the Dolphins score first. Miami has scored. Let's get an update on Atlanta's injury. Here's Michelle.
Yeah, Falcons rookie safety Keanu Neal went back to the locker room officially questionable with a knee injury. They took him back to get a better look. Before they went, athletic trainers were looking at his right knee, doing some stability examinations, comparing it to the left knee. Also, Ndamukong Suh is questionable now with an ankle injury. He also went back to the locker room, guys.
Okay, Michelle, yeah, Suh was involved in a couple of plays on that last Miami drive. It's looked pretty impressive so far, setting a tone up front. Andrew Franks to kick it off. Tevin Coleman will let that one go. The Falcons will take over at the 25-yard line. So Adam Gase and that Miami offense with a good couple of drives here. Just take it back around Marshall, Michigan, on the west side of the state. He broke down game film, and then everybody found out he's got this little bug for getting into the nuance of football. So Nick Saban took him to Michigan State and LSU, got into the league back in his home area with the Lions. Then the offensive coordinator opportunity with Denver and Peyton Manning in a record-setting season in 2013. 2 years there. Then the staff change. He went with John Fox to Chicago, worked with Jay Cutler. Great reputation, not just for offense and detail, but connecting with players. And that's what we've heard from many of the Dolphins. A great vibe in their building and their organization. Deep shot for Julio Jones. Matt Ryan throws it. And Jones' path is impeded, and it's a flag. It's a big play, essentially, of about 45 yards.
Well, you know, when Julio Jones is running down the field and there's only one guy back there, you throw it, and you do not want to see this.
No.
Pass interference, number 28, defense. He plays out of the foul, first down.
Bobby McCain, as he was coming over, not only committed the penalty, but banged knees, like you said, Chris, with Jones.
You go the hard play action fake and then try and throw one over the top, and really McCain was just trying to get out of the way at that point. But Julio Jones has the right to that path to go get the ball. It was correctly called, and all eyes on Julio Jones over there because he is the passing game on this team.
44 yards they pick up on that penalty, and they throw it to the tight end, Jacob Tamme. He gained about 3 yards. Tamme, former Indianapolis Colt draft pick, second year here with Atlanta.
Yeah, it's interesting with Julio Jones trying to walk that one off over there. But Matt Ryan, I think, is really kind of enjoying the idea of getting back to the play action and the bootleg passing game. He did a lot of it earlier in his career when Mike Mularkey was here as the offensive coordinator. And now he feels really comfortable using some of that bootleg stuff to get him in a groove sometimes.
2nd and 7, the pocket collapses. Flag is down as he completes it to Devontae Freeman. He's out of bounds. 25, but we'll check this flag.
Holding, number 37. Hard penalty. Down.
A.J. Hendy, the safety, so automatic first down for Atlanta. You talked about Julio Jones and how it was Julio and everybody else in terms of the Falcons. Well, only recently minted Hall of Famer Marvin Harrison more receptions in the season. Jones and Antonio Brown tying with 136 last year. And he made a push at Calvin Johnson's Megatron season for most receiving yards by a player, 1871. Freeman on the edge, gain of 2 yards, as Byron Maxwell comes up from the corner and makes the tackle.
Devontae Freeman, I've got to tell you, is one of my favorite players. I think he runs as hard as he can on every single time he touches the ball. He is so lightning quick. He's only like 5'8". He said he played quarterback in high school. He said, I just didn't know I was going to be this short. He must have said that 3 times. I'm like, dude, it's an advantage as a running back. They can't see out there. But you will see some lightning quick cuts out of that guy, and boy, does he play hard.
Caught 73 balls last year, flexes out to Ryan's left, and that comes to him, and he can't hang on. It's incomplete. Chris, you talked about Devontae Freeman. What a start he had last year. That Atlanta 5-0 start, he was a big part of it. Those first 6 games, 10 touchdowns, gangbusters. As you see, Sean Alexander, LaDainian Tomlinson, the last have seasons like that since 2005. But then what happened the back end of the season as the productivity went down for the team and their top rusher?
You know, we asked him about that. They had some struggles in the red zone, but he really took the blame on himself. He said, I've got to do a better job of taking care of my body. If they're going to give me the ball, I've got to be ready to do it, and I'm going to do a lot better job of that this year.
3rd and 8. First down picked up to Jacob Tamme. He's inside the 10 to the 8-yard line. It's a position where Atlanta needs to find some consistency. Of course, they had Tony Gonzalez in the best days of this offense when it was Roddy White and Julio Jones and Gonzalez. The cast has changed now, and they've drafted a player in Austin Hooper who they're excited about, but Kyle Shanahan has the veteran in Tamme to go now.
Well, and all those days with Peyton Manning, he knows what he's doing out there, but I think you're going to enjoy watching Austin Hooper play too, the young draft pick. He is a little bit more of the balance, not just the pure receiver.
First and goal, Ryan. Wise throw, just threw it where nobody can do any harm with it, and incomplete.
Now, this offensive line for the Atlanta Falcons, I really think that it's going to be a major step up for them this year. We saw last season Jake Matthews, the left tackle, really mature as a pass rusher. He's so athletic. They do a lot of those stretch run plays where the offensive line have to move laterally up and down the field. Now with Alex Mack and Andy Levitre and Jake Matthews, very athletic up front to get out in front of those backs.
On 2nd and goal, Ryan's pass for Aldrich Robinson is incomplete. Miami zoning it up in front of the goal line. Brings up 3rd and goal. Rashad Jones leading the secondary, leading the coverage.
One of the things I think you'll see the Falcons do a lot this year is try and create some matchups with their running backs. Here you're going to put a guy with great speed and Tevin Coleman on the outside, and if they take a linebacker or a strong safety out there on him, here's a guy that runs about a 4.39 40. There he goes out of the backfield again, and you have to almost stay zone like the Dolphins have here.
5 in the pattern. Ryan fires, intercepted at the goal line, and Rashad Jones out of bounds right around the 20-yard line. So the area where Atlanta has to be better this year, and they turn it over. Jones, who picked 5 last year, gets 1 from Ryan at the goal line and puts Miami in business. Creators of Supernatural and The Shield. One team must defend the past to save our future. It's timeless and premieres Monday, October 3rd, here on NBC. Temperature in the 80s, humid night in Orlando. Mike Tirico in for Al Michaels, along with Chris Collinsworth and Michelle Tafoya.
All right.
It's cool for the folks in Orlando. They haven't seen an NFL game in person since 1997.
Oh, man, I know everybody here wishes they had an NFL team. Probably the other Florida NFL teams wouldn't like to see that, but they love football in this state.
I know you're Mr. Florida. You already have 3 of the 32 from your native state, so
I like home games.
Give everybody else a chance. And Ohio is 2, right near you in Kentucky. Landry cannot hang on there. That pass incomplete. What happened on this pick here, Chris?
Well, let's take a look at Jelani Jenkins and the job that he does right here, just knocking this route off just enough for Rashad Jones to be able to come up and make that play. And for the Atlanta Falcons and for Matt Ryan, you want to know why they fell apart going down the stretch, at least in part? Turnovers and red zone woes a season ago. They simply stopped scoring touchdowns when they had opportunities.
Out in the 17th, back to Jay Ajayi at the back, and he's going to lose a couple of yards. We'll pursue Grady Jarrett, finishing that off, 5th-round pick last year for the Falcons.
There's Grady Jarrett. I think one of the more underrated players in the league. I can remember him in college and was just a blur playing that nose tackle position. Had a chance to talk with Dan Quinn about him just a little bit, and he said the amazing thing about him is he's so strong, yes, but he's so strong on the move that people can't knock him off the path that he wants to get on. So effective when he's stunning. Here he comes.
3rd down. He got the pressure up the middle. Ajayi with the catch. He's over the 20-yard line, but well short of the 1st down. Devondre Campbell, the rookie 4th-round pick out of Minnesota, in coverage, and it's 3 and out for the Dolphins.
Let's watch Grady Jarrett here and some of the strength on the move here with what he's doing. Going to sort of bounce his way between the 2 offensive linemen and make his way in and just force Tannehill to get that thing out a little quicker than he wanted to.
Matt Darr, the punter, was 3rd in gross average in the NFL last year. Sends Eric Weems towards the sideline. 42-yard kick, and Weems on the run is tripped up the 43. Marquise Gray, who was a quarterback back in his college days, then shifted over to tight end. Now try to make this team as a tight end. Good special teams play there.
Who is the best right tackle in the game today? Well, Pro Football Focus will tell you it's Ryan Schrader. And you will see him at 6'8" be able to extend his arms and drive block. He's not overly athletic. He's not overly anything, but he just has a knack. Very calm in pass protection. You'll see him jump out here against Mario Williams, not let him get out of his stance. A clever guy that has found a way to make a living at right tackle in the National Football League and a big part of their success.
Offensive line you like. The Falcons look good blocking against Cleveland last week. The offense has been held in check so far. Devontae Freeman cuts up and gains a yard. Let's go down to Michelle.
Yeah, more injury news for the Falcons. On offense, Julio Jones officially questionable with an ankle injury. And on defense, defensive end Adrian Claiborne has gone to the x-ray room to get a look at that shoulder. Questionable with a shoulder injury, guys.
Well, it's not good news. And when you get Julio Jones, we know what he can do. You don't need to see him in the preseason.
Yeah, we got that part. And Ndamukong Suh, we got that. You know, so, and if you're going to get hurt, with 2 weeks to go before the regular season, they're not going to play anymore anyway, so.
2nd and 9, Ryan throws to Freeman out of the backfield to the 47-yard line. You made the point, Chris, I want to go back about Schrader, the right tackle. And we spend all the attention and teams spend all the money on the left tackle. But all we need to do is go back to the Super Bowl to remind you how valuable with a team that has 2 rushers a right tackle can be.
You know, and for a quarterback to be able to sort of ignore an edge. You know, and really I think Atlanta is kind of there. With Jake Matthews, I can't tell you how much better, in my opinion, he is last season compared to a season ago. And I think he has a chance athletically to make that same kind of jump as well.
Ryan gets hit there, pass incomplete as Byron Maxwell tried to undercut it. Maxwell trying to return to the form he had in the Seattle days, as Dan Quinn was a coordinator out there when he was there.
Here comes Schrader. Good luck now. You got Cameron Wake, who's coming back from that injury, who is about as clever a pass rusher as there is. And yeah, do what you got to do there, big guy. Just slam him down. I've never heard a quarterback once complain about a holding call. It's like, hey, take care of the franchise, boys.
Matt Bostrom will try to pin the Dolphins back inside their own 20. Jakeem Grant. That's returnable from the 9. This guy's been exciting. And you see a little bit of the reason Miami fans feel their kick return game will improve. 17 on the take back by Grant. 7-0 Miami, almost halfway through the second. Tonight's aerial coverage is brought to you by Geico. That's a look last night at what is now known as Hard Rock Stadium. The Dolphins Stadium looks drastically different. They've put a canopy in there. They've redone everything inside. The canopy is going to keep 92% of the fans in the shade Stephen Ross, the owner, has put in a significant amount of money privately funding this makeover of that stadium in Miami that looks nothing like what we saw over the last couple of years going there. And it will be ready to go for the preseason game next Thursday as Miami returns home for the first time. Tannehill first down pass is complete. And Kenny Stills, who they are hoping for a lot from him this year, out to the 42-yard line. How about a little bit of what it looks like inside? There you see that canopy and all the seats that are going to be in the shade. 4 terrific high-definition LED boards in each corner. They've redone the seating, club seating right behind the bench on the Dolphins side. Half of it was done last year, phase 2 this year. It is going to be great.
Tell you what, if they stay with this no-huddle offense all the time, they're going to be opposing teams looking for some shade out there. I played at the University of Florida, and teams used to come down here in September, and they would just have a heart attack out there. It was so hot. And, of course, the great home field advantage, and this no-huddle offense fits right into that.
180.
Second and 5, it's Ajayi again. Good spin move to get away from the first and the second. But he only gets about a yard or two when all is said and done.
Ajayi is one of those guys that, you know, the knock on him was supposed to be he couldn't catch the ball very well. So I was all ready to tell all these stories. He doesn't catch the ball. He plays soccer and, you know, all those different things. We go to practice the other day. He lays out and makes the greatest catch I've ever seen. I'm like, that kills another story. But he's what an engaging guy, though. Didn't you think? Just so much fun to be around.
Really love talking to him. We started talking to him about his Premier League team, his favorite soccer team. He's an Arsenal fan. As soon as we started talking the other football, his accent came right back out.
Yeah.
Tannehill throwing complete to Devontae Parker, who had the first down. The forward progress will give it to him, it appears. Into Falcons territory at the 48-yard line in front of Robert Alford.
Yeah, that's the only British/Texas accent I've ever heard in my life. It was interesting. But Devontae Parker here is a guy that may be the key to this team's season. And I don't want to overplay this, but this is one of those 6'3" leapers, can get open, can get those back shoulder, just throw it up down the field, go up and get the ball at its highest point. He's a guy that has to come up big this year for them.
Tannehill looked wrong. Isaiah Peed has just checked into the game. And the running back who has opened some eyes in Miami's camp catches the underneath first down reception.
Boy, I tell you what, Anthony Steen, the center. Let's take a look right here against the guy I told you was a guy I really thought was an excellent pass rusher. You lose Mike Pouncey and you go, oh no, the world's falling apart on top of my head. That was perfect.
And no regular season experience, NFL or college, playing center for Steen in his first year out of Alabama. Heat again, that time the Falcons stand tall on that line and no gain.
Tyson Jackson coming off and making a nice play on that one. But this pace, that we were talking to some of the Dolphins about it, and they're subbing in and out now and trying to save these guys. A few of the guys playing defense for the Dallas Cowboys a week ago, even though the Cowboys blew them out in the game, were over heave-hoing on the sideline. It wears you out as a defensive lineman, and sometimes the best pass protection is the guy that can't breathe.
And the Miami guys hope that that's their advantage as they go through the entirety of the season, as they take a time out here. The old question is always, do you wear yourselves out at some point? You train in it, you train for it. As you get to November and December, do you still have the legs to pull it off?
Well, I certainly don't, but they probably will.
NASCAR is on NBCSN this week. 3 races left, and the pressure to qualify for the chase is on. They're in the beautiful Irish Hills of Michigan. At least they were beautiful the last time I was there a month ago. NASCAR from Michigan, Sunday, 1:30 Eastern on NBCSN. Brad Keselowski already a winner on the NASCAR circuit this year. It's his home state. That's his big event. Check that out over the weekend.
There's Mike Pouncey over there. Pro Bowls each of the last 3 years, and he's had a lot of problems with those hips. I believe surgery on both hips at one time or another. So Anthony Steen comes in the game now, and it falls on his shoulders. They're still hoping Pouncey is back for opening day, but they're really not sure at this point.
Out of the timeout, 3rd and 4. And 5 in the pattern for Tannehill. Can Pede make a play? Too far away, not going anywhere. Robert Alford comes up and closes it down. Michelle Tafoya.
Yeah, I spoke to Mike Pouncey down here on the field before the game, and he was in very good spirits and pretty optimistic that he'd be back for the opener, maybe the second game of the season. He says that hip is just really bruised, that someone fell on it, and it has nothing to do with the surgically repaired hip, so he was optimistic. But you know these guys, they tend to want to be optimistic, Mike and Chris.
You've heard that story before, Michelle. They open at Seattle and then at New England. It's not the easiest start for the Dolphins. And Darb drops it down nose first. Eric Weems, tough to catch, pulls it in, the veteran, at the 13-yard line with 4 minutes left until halftime. Sunday Night Football is brought to you by Toyota. Let's go places. And by Mechanic Resurrection, starring Jason Statham, in theaters tonight. Well, Dolphins come on up here to Central Florida, so we've got to visit the site. SeaWorld in Orlando. They've rescued over 28,000 marine mammals in the last half century. Tourists from all over, not just America, but all over the world you run into as you go around here. The old Citrus Bowl looks nice as it's been redone.
Looks great. It really does.
You pulled up. You were telling me about your first game as a wide receiver you played in this
I was
stadium.
Oops.
Jordan Phillips, second-round pick last year out of Oklahoma.
Grossman, number 97, defense, 5-yard penalty, still first down.
So how you feeling, big guy, at NBC after all those years at ESPN, and you got to do the Olympics for the first time?
Well, I got to hang with Al for 17 days,
There you go.
working daytimes with Al and Rebecca Lowe, and it was great. He told me everything I needed to know about this.
How's it going?
It's exactly what he said. He said, good luck getting the word in. I'm joking. It's been great. Feel like part of the family already. 1st and 5 pass to Austin Hooper. That's the guy Chris was talking about. Rookie out of Stanford. The 3rd-round pick. Gave him a couple of yards.
Yeah, the more I watched of him in college, the more I thought that, you know, the Falcons don't really have that pure blocking tight end. And the way they can run the football with these two backs, you go, well, why don't they have that kind of guy? But I think Hooper is a good enough receiver, maybe not quite what Jacob Tamme is, but he's a guy that can fill that role and then come in and do some inline blocking for these backs too.
2nd and 3 out of the shotgun, the run with Kevin Coleman. Gets the first down, and more of Coleman will help. A little 1-2 to take a little bit off of Freeman, who, as you pointed out, wore down as the year went on last year.
Yeah, and for Tevin Coleman, it was the fumbles that really did him in. It wasn't the way that he played. Here we go with had Austin Hooper coming across on the block there. But I think they're pretty confident. They talked to some of the people at Indiana about Tevin Coleman and how much of a leap he made from his first to his second year, and they're hoping they get the same thing out of him here.
Ryan gets a late block, has time to flag down as the catch is made by Aldrick Robinson, whose speed they hope can stretch the field as this season goes on. And a nice long gain to Robinson.
Robinson caught a couple of bombs against Washington earlier in this preseason.
Defense, the penalties declined. Play results in a first down.
Tony Lippett 36 with the penalty, and the gain was 36.
Little double move at the top of it here, and this is the question. Can anybody step up at that cornerback position to help Byron Maxwell, who they feel pretty good about? There's Ryan Schrader out there going against Mario Williams. It's not always pretty, but somehow it seems like people end up on the ground when he's blocking them.
That's it. You're going to run to the edge with speed. I'll take you deeper than my quarterback. Here's Ryan on the boot and throwing on the run. Nearly caught flat down. Hardy almost kept his feet in and made the play as again Lippett was lost in trying to find himself. That flag that was thrown down was quickly picked up.
There's no foul on the play. Take it down.
Hardy was a guy that really made an impression at the end of the year. They're going to go right back to the well again with a little double move against Lippett and see what happens. Like he grabbed a little bit there on the tail end of that thing.
Hardy grabbed on the second part of it too, and he almost stayed in bounds and caught it too. I don't know if he completed the catch. It looks like it scraped the ground as he tried to bring it in, but a whole lot of nothing. It's 2nd and 10. Former Bengal Mohamed Sanu was on the move, and he's on the move with the reception. Gain of 9 as he got hit hard upon Shamil Gary, I should say. Comes over with the hit.
Mohamed Sanu coming from Cincinnati. Now, he is not a burner by any means, so they're going to have to find somebody else out there. Maybe Aldrick Robinson is that guy, maybe Justin Hardy. But what Sanu is a powerful guy. They like getting the ball to him where he can catch and run. We saw in the game last week breaking some tackles, big, strong guy, tough physical runner, and Julio Jones likes him. He likes picking on him a little too.
10-4 Ryan. Pass incomplete. Try to find the man we were just talking about, the speedster Aldrick Robinson. It's interesting with Sanu that you mentioned there, Chris. Cincinnati has no Sanu, no Marvin Jones. We'll see them on Sunday night. Those two guys go to different places. Jones to Detroit, Sanu here to Atlanta, and are being asked to play different roles now.
Yeah, they really are. And with A.J. Green in Cincinnati, the question is the same as it is here. Can somebody take the pressure off of Julio Jones and allow those #1 receivers to work?
Coming up to the 2-minute warning on 2nd and 10. And Ryan completes it to Sanu, yard shy of the first down. And we'll have 3rd and 1 on the other side of the 2-minute warning. Atlanta trying to match the score earlier from Miami and even this game up.
It's a fresh start for him and basically everybody in our building. And I think he's enjoyed that part of it. He knows he's done a lot of good things, but there's some things that he needs to kind of clean up, and he wants to help this offense and this team become better than what they've been in the past.
I sat down with Adam Gase, talked about Ryan Tannehill, his quarterback. We'll talk about that on the Toyota halftime conversation with the new coach, and the newly minted Hall of Fame coach, Tony Dungy, will join us here in the booth, all coming up on the Toyota halftime.
Surprised he's not down in the truck in the air conditioned down
Tony?
there, man. It's a little warm up here.
A little? Well, I turned around during the first quarter. I said, well, it's not every day you turn around and have a Hall of Fame coach standing over your shoulder.
I swear I almost asked him a question.
On the air?
Yeah, no microphone, nothing.
That is part of the plan. 3rd and 1. And Ryan throws for it, and it's incomplete. Trying to get out of the break was Justin Hardy.
There's no doubt who they've been going after, right? Lippitt out there on the outside, former wide receiver at Michigan State, converted to cornerback, and my guess if he stays in that position, he's going to see a lot of action all year long.
Well, Shane Graham is here to kick. Matt Bryant, 41 years old, has muscle tightness, so he is not kicking this week. So they signed Graham once again for another tour of duty. And he's kicked for 10 teams over 15 years. 39 yards, he just kind of shows up and makes field goals. He made 11 of 13 for Atlanta when they had to lean on him during the season last year. Knocks that through. The Falcons are on the board. It is 7-3. This Atlanta Falcons team got off to the hot start that we mentioned. They jumped out to a 5-0 record, surprise team around the league. They were 3rd in the league, scoring 32 points a game. But then, as Chris was alluding to, things just did not go as well offensively. 3-8 over the final 11, ending up with an 8-8 season. It's usually good when you're a first-year head coach. You try to set a tone to 8-8. That's a nice start and foundation. But it didn't feel that way because of the way it finished with 3-8 the last 11.
No, it sure didn't. And this team was thought to be one of the Super Bowl contenders for the first half of the season. And then they couldn't score when they got down in the red zone. It's one of the top offensive teams, one of the top teams converting 3rd downs and all that. But you look at what happened to them in the red zone. They went from 74% and just 2 turnovers in the first 5 games down to 44%. That's no small drop-off. That is a collapse in many ways, and especially when you have a veteran quarterback like Matt Ryan. You go, boy, you just don't expect that. And then they turn around here tonight and throw another interception in the red zone. So, there's time to fix it. It's creative. They're going to get after it and all those kinds of things, but certainly something that they've got to improve on.
I'm sure Falcon fans were thinking the same thing we were thinking. They're down in the red zone, he turned it over. No, this was last year's story. Not again. Jakeem Grant wisely told to stay there. And the ball come out to the 25-yard line. You can watch live out-of-market preseason games and replay every game of the season with NFL Game Pass. Start your free trial today at NFL.com/Game Pass. This is the busy week of the preseason, week 3. Many have referred to it over the years as the dress rehearsal.
Not anymore. Not after what Belichick did. What are you talking about, dress rehearsal? Are you crazy? Game plan?
That's right. Bill Belichick making that point this week that we're not game planning for anyway. We're just doing our stuff. So in no way is this any semblance of what we do in the regular season. The move for the Patriots, making many trades. Traded Brian Stork away yesterday. Traded for Barkevius Mingo today. Tannehill throws sideline, incomplete for Devontae Parker, whose ribs were exposed to Ricardo Allen and used him as a target.
Almost had that one, didn't he? Probably should have had that one. He's working against the guy, C.J. Goodwin, who is 6'4", former wide receiver, now playing the cornerback position in a battle with Brian Poole to be that slot corner. And I would imagine at 6'4", if he comes in the nickel, they probably would take Robert Alford and slide him inside at the slot. But an interesting guy and an interesting challenge for him at that size to play corner.
Tannehill on 2nd and 10. It's underneath with Jarvis Landry. And Landry will gain about 8 yards as the Dolphins try to hop into a 2-minute offense here with 1:35 to go till halftime.
I don't know if there's any difference between their 2-minute offense and their regular offense. But they have gotten pretty good at this. I've watched all their games, and this first string offense was pretty good against Dallas too. They were up and down and in and out a little bit. But you've seen tonight, even though they haven't put up a bunch of points, they are moving the ball.
Tannehill stands in and completes it to Landry, and Landry's over midfield for the first down.
Danny Marino is a guy that's still working with the club. He was out of practice. I saw him before the game, and we were talking about Tannehill, and he said, whatever you do, don't say anything about his arm. This guy can throw the football now. You can say anything else you want about him, but he can throw the football.
2 timeouts, 47 seconds, turning first half clock. And good protection. That one incomplete as he again tried to get it towards Parker.
I'll tell you, you want to know why you have people going in no-huddle offenses? Watch the defensive line here. These guys are gassed. I mean, it's hot out here, and they are trying their best. But for an offensive lineman, all the effort is really on the defensive guys. They have to attack, and the offensive lineman can set back. You can see this offensive line really getting in game shape now to be able to do this for 4 quarters.
When Juwan James has had his way, Vic Beasley, 44, has not been able to get any pressure at all. Same deal here. Underneath, it's a Ajayi first down. See if the Dolphins take a timeout, and they will. Beg your pardon. It's Isaiah Peed on that one, and they will take the timeout with 35 seconds left at the 38-yard line.
You know, I've been watching these two guys playing guard in here for Adam Gase tonight, and that's going to be a big decision. They had 2 starters a year ago, Billy Turner and Dallas Thomas, and a few issues in there. They draft Tunzel. I'm almost positive he'll be the left guard. And then some debate as to what's going to happen at that other position. But let's look at Laramie Tunzel and the job he's done. You just can't imagine how difficult it is. Just that block right there alone, learning the guard position, that you've got people inside you, you've got people outside of you, but his feet are pretty amazing for an offensive lineman, a guy that size. I honestly thought that he arguably was the best player in the draft this season. And when he fell to number 13, it was stunning to me. And I know all the stuff that went on, but for Ryan Tannehill, there was nobody happier in the world. He was like, you've got to be kidding me. They didn't even think that they were going to interview him because there was no chance he was going to ever fall that far.
And Tunzel didn't think he was going to get to Miami. We asked him about the Miami interview. I don't really remember much of it. Didn't think he was going to be picked that low. 33 seconds left. Tannehill, before he's hit, fires downfield, incomplete, but the flag is down. Kenny Stills was looking back, and he was held on the play.
Did a little stunt right off the front end of that, little loop back underneath. And Trufant decided to take the grab instead. Or did he?
We have 2 fouls on the defense. Prior to the pass, illegal contact, number 29. Holding, number 21 of the defense. That penalty is accepted. 5 yards, automatic first down.
Here's the one on Trufant.
Trufant gave up a touchdown a week ago, and there's the grab and the hold, and threw Stills off his route. Boy, how high are they on Kenny Stills right now? They can't believe this guy that is a bit of a burden. There's big Danny Marino right there enjoying the game. They are stunned at what a great leader Kenny Stills has turned into.
9 seconds left for a pass deflected. A deflection at the line earlier led to an interception. Rashid Hegman got his big mid up there to knock it away.
There we go. There's Hegman working against Steen and got a little bit of that bull rush. That's when those big guys get you moving backwards. It's hard to turn it around, but he certainly was going to take advantage after that ball was tipped. Tried to drive him into the dirt.
26 seconds left. It is 2nd and 10 for Ryan Tannehill and the Dolphins. Time against that 4-man rush, and it's caught by Stills, who has the first down. They're going to clock it here and try to preserve that final timeout. Scramble to the line. And they'll have 9 seconds in the timeout to work with.
How about Tannehill on that last one, though, right? Not allowed to audible last year in that system. You just call the play and run it. Here he is out there. He didn't like what he saw, and then all of a sudden, hold on, give a little hand signal here to the wide receivers. And then he saw the clock was running down, yelling clock, clock. Perfectly executed, standing tall, great protection. Bingo. Really well done.
So the one timeout, 9 seconds here. We'll see how the Dolphins play it. Atlanta looks like they'll rush 3 and drop 8. Tannehill will swing this one out. Damian Williams down quickly, and the timeout taken so they can preserve the opportunity for the field goal. Of course, we talked about it. Where does Adam Gase come from? He worked with Peyton Manning in Denver there for a couple of seasons, so there are some mannerisms. Do you think he's watched a little bit of tape of Manning here over the last few months?
Yeah, well, the word coming out of Miami is that Peyton Manning had a doctorate in this offense. Ryan Tannehill is still in high school right now, but he's gaining. This has been pretty good here. This is a definite step forward, and he's kind of at that point in his career now, 4 or 5 years in the league, and saying, hey, this is, I'm ready for this kind of challenge mentally.
37-yarder from Andrew Franks. And the hold of that is not pretty. And a good first season, 13 out of 16 field goals. That one was ugly. 7-3 at the break. Toyota halftime coming up next, but first these messages from your local NBC station. Celebrating youth and high school football players and coaches. And yesterday, Miami Dolphins youth programs hosted a football clinic for Central Florida youth leagues. And extended over to tonight, youth and high school players took in the pregame festivities from the sidelines. They were having a great time. You can go to playfootball.com to get in the game this season. And good luck to all of you high school coaches and players who are watching. Either you started last week or you're getting started this weekend. You know those butterflies are going. You're getting ready. Wish you the best this season. J.D. McKissick of Atlanta back deep to receive. Marshall Kane kicks off. And the third quarter underway from Orlando. And from Arkansas State, McKissick from 3 deep will take it out and take it across the 25 to the 27-yard line. Let's get you caught up on what happened that first half as Matt Ryan comes out to start the second half for Atlanta here. Only put 3 points on the board. Ryan and the Atlanta passing offense, 11 of 20, 106 yards. A turnover in the red zone, part of the negative side. Ryan Tannehill, although Miami only put up 7 points, the offense looked good. Just about 200 yards. Arian Foster in his work looked like the Arian Foster we had gotten used to seeing in Houston. A couple of sweet cuts, including the game's lone touchdown. Devontae Freeman, the starting running back, is in as from the 27-yard line. He runs for 4 to the 31. And here's Michelle Tafoya.
Yeah, quite a few injuries to get you up to speed on. I spoke with Dan Quinn of the Atlanta Falcons, so we'll start with his and his rookie safety, Keanu Neal, who had a knee injury in the first half. He won't return, but it's not a significant knee injury at this point. Also, defensive end Adrian Claiborne also won't return because of a shoulder injury. And Julio Jones, he's not going to return with an ankle injury, but I'm told he could if they wanted him to play. They just want to hold him, Mike.
Well, that makes sense. An incomplete pass intended for Mohamed Sanu, as Chris was saying before. We know what Julio can do.
We got that guy.
That's it.
Tony, I've got to ask you, as a head coach, and you get to the preseason, and now this is the game that you really want to try and show a little something out there. But the first time one of your star players comes limping towards you, it's got to be, oh, this is enough.
It does, but you have to put that out of your mind. You have to have a plan. We're going to play these guys X number of plays, and you cannot worry about it.
Falcons have most of their starters out there right now. Obviously, Jones out with the injury. Miami has its second-team defense on the field. 3rd and 6 here for Ryan. And underneath, the pass complete to Austin Hooper. There's a flag down as Hooper lost the ball on the way down as well. So a lot to sort out here. The flag's back behind the line of scrimmage. Marking Hooper at the 46.
The runner's ruled down by contact.
And we'll check the flag in a minute.
Holding, number 24, offense. 10-yard penalty, still 3rd down.
Devontae Freeman, the starting running back.
Now, the Dolphins kind of screw this up. They're trying to do this and drop out and then run somebody across, and they just run into each other here. And then you've got Freeman right there in the middle of the screen with the holding call. That's tough, though, on those backs, Tony. You know that everybody calls it the double-A blitz or whatever. They put both either linebackers or safeties right in that gap over the center. And as a running back, if you can't pick up one of those guys, you can't really play in this league.
You have to be able to pass block, and I'm not so sure that wasn't a fumble.
That's
Adam
right.
Gase is right on top of this.
The challenge flag has been thrown by the Miami sideline.
I believe this was a fumble.
Miami is challenging the ruling on the field that the runner was down by contact.
So walk over, we'll go take a look at it. See if Hooper lost it before knee came down. It looks like he did.
Out.
After reviewing the play, the runner caught the ball and then fumbled it and had a recovery, clear recovery by Miami. The 1st and 10 at the 46-yard line.
So
The
one
holding penalty will now be declined. Miami will not be charged with a timeout.
One Stanford Cardinal got another. Michael Thomas, the 4th-year player from Stanford, knocked it free. Terrific play makes on Austin Hooper.
He really does. He makes the tackle and then keeps that right hand in there, Chris, and knocks it out.
It's the difference between the NFL and college sometimes. They have one more trick up their sleeves here. You know, you sitting there, if you're Austin Hooper, you're going, I'm going to run this guy over and get a little extra yard. And really, it was like a finger, just sort of flicked it out of there.
Undrafted player Michael Thomas makes the play to knock it out of Hooper's hands, and Zach Dysert will take over at quarterback for Miami. Matt Moore figures to be the backup. He was hit hard by James Morris, linebacker for the Cowboys last week, suffered a concussion, so Moore is out of the lineup tonight. And Dysert, the second-year man of Miami of Ohio, is in second at quarterback, and he gives to Damian Williams, who comes to the edge and got pulled down.
That was a horse collar as well.
Brian Cox over there was also there, the defensive line coach for the Falcons, who, of course, played for the Dolphins for 5 years. Robinson Therizi was the man who pulled him down on the white and also up by the nameplate.
Yeah, you've got the new rule this year where it doesn't have to be
After the play
inside.
is over, personal foul, horse collar tackle on the deep, 15 yards from the end of the play, 1st down.
It used to be you had to sort of get inside the shoulder pads or grab the top of the jersey. Now if you grab around the nameplate, they're going to call that a horse collar as well to take out some of the, you know, questionable, did he do it, did he not do it kind of decisions the officials have to make.
And by the way, Brian Cox still got it, guys.
Yes,
he
yes, he
didn't flinch. Forearm out, you're going down.
What do you mean a penalty?
Some good years for Miami. So add the flag to the run, and the Dolphins are down at the Atlanta 26. And They're going to lose 8 yards there, as Williams was immediately snowed under by Courtney Upshaw. Former Raven, who has changed positions and looks a bit different now.
Got Billy Turner out there. They're trying to get some versatility here. Billy Turner, one of the guards last year. So they really, at this point of the game, Tony, you want to try and get guys in as many positions because you just don't know what's going to happen, right?
Exactly. You want to see what they're going to do in different situations, how they will react.
17, Dysert throws it complete to Dominique Jones, tight end. We mentioned Dysert, second year out of Miami of Ohio. Denver took him in the 7th round. He's not played in an NFL game. He's a 4-year starter at Miami of Ohio. Put some terrific numbers and broke some Ben Roethlisberger numbers in terms of passes and completions and yards and all that stuff. And he and Brandon Doughty seeing if there will be a third quarterback to make the Miami Final 53. On 3rd and 11, Dyson in the middle, finds Griff Whalen, takes it inside the 10. It'll be 1st and goal for the Dolphins. Griff Whalen, who has been around, spent some time at Stanford with Andrew Luck and did the same in the NFL for the last few years.
Yeah, was cut by the Colts. Obviously had good history with Andrew Luck, and he's a guy that's understands what zone defenses are trying to do. You don't have to be a phenomenal athlete to get open against a zone defense. Believe me, I understand that part of it. You just go down there and there are little gaps in the defense and you stand in one of them.
Is it hot? What did he? What is it?
There we go. There's a draft pick.
First and goal, and he'll get down to the 2-yard line. Leonte Carew out of Rutgers.
Yeah, he's one of those guys, big physical receiver, and we've seen this a lot already tonight out of the Miami Dolphins. This trips to one side, single receiver to the other side, and if you're going to play them one-on-one, no matter who that is out there, they're going to throw the ball.
And here they go again with that tempo and that same setup with Carew up at the top.
What did he? What is it?
Damian Williams puts his pads down and gets into the end zone for the touchdown. So the 3rd-year man out of Oklahoma who had some speed to this running back rotation, got a good block from his tight end Deion Sims, and Miami scores its 2nd touchdown of the night.
Yeah, Sims going to give a little chop block coming across on the backside of this thing. Watch this. Thinks he's got a wide open path to the running back, and all of a sudden your knees are gone. Nicely done by Dallas Thomas in there as well, a guy battling for that guard position.
And Mike, you mentioned tempo. I was talking to Adam Gase on the field before the game, and that's what he is so excited about, keeping these defenses huffing and puffing and off balance.
Tony, you've been around this no-huddle offense a lot. This is pretty impressive so far.
It is, and they're excited about it. The fact that his players are buying into it now. They saw the Dallas players last week, under duress. They see what it does, and they're excited about playing at a fast tempo.
The funny thing is, as a player, when you see the defensive guys getting tired, it gives you more energy. It's a very bizarre thing, but it's adrenaline or something. And I know they're looking at that play one more time, but it did look like he crossed the plane for the touchdown.
That's confirmed now by replay. And Andrew Franks, who had that ugly kick, the missed field goal at the end of the half, back off the extra point. There's much more like it. So a quick scoring jaunt for the 2nd team Dolphins offense. It started with the fumble caused by Michael Thomas. 6 plays, 54 yards later, Miami in the end zone and leading by 11.
Oh, Sunday nights. Oh, Sunday nights. Stand up and cheer, stomp your feet, start clapping. NBC Sunday night about to happen. Oh, Sunday night.
I love it. New song, new season. So September 11, it'll be Arizona and New England, the 2 teams that ended up being the bridesmaids in the championship games in each conference last year, will have at it and start the season of Sunday Night Football, season 11 here on NBC.
The pooch kick.
And McKissick, he's going to get way past the 25. J.D. McKissick just shy of midfield as Marshall Kane brings him down. McKissick took one back the distance in the opening preseason game for the Falcons against the Redskins, trying to make it the roster here.
So when you return one that far, does the head coach look at the special teams guy, or does the special teams guy look at the head coach and say, I told you to kick it out of the end zone?
No, the special teams coach is going to take the grief on this. We're kicking it down there. You got to get down and make that tackle inside the 20.
The weird part about this, though, is the head coach could literally kick it out of the end zone every time, right? Yeah. So, like, hey, this was your call, not my call.
I promise you the head coach is not wrong.
Matt Schaub is in the game. Matt Ryan's night is done, 13th year in the league. A journey that started with Atlanta, returned Schaub to Atlanta, and he pitches to Cyrus Gray. Good run on the edge for the first down. Dan Quinn has a veteran backup. A little bit more on Dan Quinn, who turned 46 on the opening day of the season. A Morristown, New Jersey guy. Very good, not just in football, but track and field at Salisbury State. Had a school record hammer throw, a record that stood for quite some time. Long run as an assistant defensive line coach primarily, then hooked up with Pete Carroll, was the defensive coordinator with the Seahawks, the back-to-back Super Bowls, the Super Bowl championship, Super Bowl 48. And then on the staff, it was crestfallen after the loss in Super Bowl 49 to New England. Great carries there. And then it was one of those quick things, Tony and Chris. Here you have that just devastating way that Super Bowl ended, and then a couple days later, it's the best day of your life. You become a head coach in the NFL.
I think he said it perfectly. It was the lowest low followed by the highest high. And he is Mr. Energy. You know, Pete Carroll has the reputation of being, you know, that guy, the Tasmanian devil in practice and everything. But Dan Quinn is that same kind of guy, and that energy permeates this franchise now.
3rd and 4 for Matt Schaub, and that pass is caught by Hooper. They'll have the first down at the 42-yard line. Tony, year 2 with a new head coach. You're trying to get system and style. How much different is it once you know where the furniture is in place in your new home?
You're much more comfortable too. You've tried to get this message across. You've tried to change the culture, and now the players know you. They know what to expect. So Dan Quinn is in much more of a comfort level this second year, and I tell you what, he is excited about the speed that they've got on defense. You mentioned in the first half, Chris, but he loves those fast young defensive players.
All you have to do is think of Seattle's defense, and you know what he's trying to build. Cam Chancellor on down.
Job looked deep. There was nothing there. Nick Williams comes around to get it. He cannot get back to the original line of scrimmage. Neville Hewitt joins Mike Hull to make the stop.
You know, they had some special forces come in and talk to his team. He felt like his team was close last year, but not that close, you know. So they came in, and the line that he took from a Martin Luther King speech basically was, we were a neighborhood last year. Now we're trying to be a brotherhood, which is pretty good, and I think it really sort of hit home with a lot of players on that team.
It's a famous Martin Luther King speech that he made at commencement at Oberlin College in 1965, and Quinn brought that up when they were not too far from Oberlin, playing in Cleveland last week. Brandon Wilds with the carry there. Many teams go down this road, find a way to bond. And when they get to see Navy SEALs there, they have a different appreciation of the togetherness. And Tony, sometimes many of these devices not only do great for the community and for the SEALs as well as the team, it also makes the right connection within your locker room.
It does, and that is the difference. On those great football teams, yeah, there's a certain amount of talent, but it is that feeling that we are in this together, we've got a common goal, and that's what you've got to build when you come in as a new head coach.
Chop has 3rd and 5, and they'll run it with Wilds, and he'll be carried. Still going to go down another yard or two, but Andre Branch will stop him shy of the first down.
And that call tells you they were going for it on 4th. No, I'm surprised. I am surprised.
I was thinking the same thing you were thinking. You're going to run it and get half of it and try to get the other half.
We're going to go for it on 4th down.
Shane Grant's going to come out and try a long field goal here.
Well, maybe that was part of it too, that he could get down to the 53-yard field goal. He could make it. 56, he couldn't, so an incomplete pass would have knocked him out of a chance.
Well, that 54-yarder, his career long, happened last year at the age of 37. This is from 53, and the legs still got it. 38 years old, 53 yards, no problem for Shane Graham. A couple of field goals tonight for the Falcons. Down 8 here in Orlando. So Tony, you know the best part of working at NBC? I've always wanted to do a Tonight Show promo.
You got it.
And Jimmy Fallon's got a great night tonight. Alec Baldwin, Barbra Streisand. Tonight Show starring Jimmy Fallon later tonight here on NBC.
He'll be singing with Barbara. You can count on that.
That's right.
No doubt about that.
Barbra Streisand's doing an album, a disc, whatever the kids want to call it, that's going to drop here. That's a lot of duets with some greats and some great songs from shows over the years. It'll be pretty neat. So that'll be coming up tonight with Jimmy. Mentioned that Dan Quinn turns 46 on opening day. That opening day will be a game for Julio Jones and the Falcons against Tampa Bay. And of course, with Tampa Bay, you get Dirk Cutter and Mike Smith, who was the Falcons coach for 7 years. He's now the defensive coordinator there with Dirk in Tampa, who was the offensive coordinator. So be a lot of familiarity for that week 1 get together.
Who knows? Do you have any idea who's going to be good this year? I'm seriously, do you have any idea? I laugh when people ask me. I go, I don't know.
Middle of October is when you'll know.
Yeah. September I always call the great fooler month too. You always get these sort of false leads and somebody really looks good and then the truth starts setting in when the weather gets a little colder.
A.J. Cruz is back deep for this kickoff for Miami, 7 yards deep. He'll take it down, bring it out to the 25-yard line. Quinn was a new coach last year. Adam Gase, new coach this year. This thing goes in trends. When the hirings happened before the 2015 season, we had a lot of guys on the defensive side of the ball. This year, 2016, a lot of guys on the offensive side of the ball. Hugh Jackson, who has RG3, looking good up there in Cleveland. Which one of these intrigues you, Tony, as you watch these guys take over as 6 new head coaches?
To me, it's really Ben McAdoo, and he's been there. He knows Eli Manning. And if they get Victor Cruz back and build that offense, there could be some good things happening in New York.
How about Hugh Jackson, though? I mean, Cleveland just feels different right now to me.
It does.
You know Hugh, man. Hugh's going to tell you the truth at all times. He is going to lay it out there for you.
Dominique Jones with the catch there. Let's go down to Michelle Tafoya.
Well, I'm with Matt Ryan. You told us in the meetings the other day, red zone was an issue last season. You got there once in the first half. What was your assessment of how things went?
We did some good things. We really did. We had the opportunity in the red zone. Obviously, turn the football over down there. That's something we got to clean up. It's good for us to get that out of our system and find how we can improve and get better in that area. But now it's on to the regular season. We got one more preseason game, and I think everybody's ready to go.
Second season with Dan Quinn. How are you settling into what he's trying to bring to this team?
Yeah, I think Dan's done a great job. I think all of the team has bought in. He pushes us hard. Guys compete every day. That's what he preaches. And, I think he's got the good pulse of this team, and guys are fighting hard for him.
What did you think when you saw Julio get a little bit dinged up there, and what do you think his status is right now?
I think he'll be okay. But you never like seeing somebody go down, especially in preseason. But I think he's doing okay.
Now, for the last 3 years, Carolina has dominated this division. How do you leapfrog that team?
I think we just got to worry about ourselves. They're obviously a good football team, really good defense. We know that going against them twice a year. But we got to take care of our own business. I feel like if we can play our best, we can go out and play with anybody in this league.
Matt, thank you. Best of luck.
All right, thanks, Michelle.
Michelle, thank you. They saw firsthand Carolina's dominance, 38-0. Then a couple of weeks later, they met in Carolina, lost to Atlanta. That one setback for the Panthers.
Yeah, and don't you think, Tony, it happens sometimes when you win too easily, and it's no matter what the coach says, you just feel like, oh boy, finally we got a week off. We're going to go mop these guys up again. And that team has the emotional thing. These guys killed us last time, and they're all up in the bit.
Yeah, professional pride sets in, and they react to it. And you're right, it's just a natural tendency to let down just a little bit.
This is first and 10 for Zach Dysert and Damian Williams out of the backfield with the catch.
But it really was the divisional games that killed both these teams.
Yes.
They played pretty well against everybody else, both 1-5 inside the division. And that's really tough because you build your football team to win your division.
You have to. That's where it starts. You want to go to the playoffs. You've got to take care of the business of your division.
You see the Atlanta record 7-3 outside of the NFC South. And Miami went 5-5. Because Miami had an odd season as Joe Philbin was there and then let go after their disappointing loss in London. Dan Campbell came in and replaced him on an interim basis. Damian Williams got to the edge, got out of bounds, but has the first down for Miami with 5:06 left here in the third quarter.
It's what they like about Damian Williams is he has a little extra burst on the outside. Of course, we've seen Arian Foster, and he played so great in this game. Jai did some nice things here too, but this little extra burst for a big back, pretty impressive to be able to turn the corner and pick up that first down.
What inning? What's that?
Dyson contacted, felt the pressure. Courtney Upshaw, we mentioned earlier, was pushing in there. That first initial hit came from Nordley Cappy, 96. But Upshaw, a very interesting story. He was an outside linebacker with Baltimore. He's put on a bunch of weight and trying to change positions here, Chris.
Yeah, and you know, it's just one of those things that you're so used to seeing him play outside linebacker and just be that hammer over the tight end and beat those guys up. And now all of a sudden I put on the tape and I'm watching, he's like, wait a minute, is he playing the three technique down inside? But he came in at 303 pounds, and that makes you a defensive lineman.
That was 303 from 270, 271. It's about where he played Tony in Baltimore, playing that edge.
Big difference in his body type, and now he's got a chance to be a factor at the line of scrimmage and as a rusher.
9, Dysert on the move. And a dive forward there. Not feet first, so he gets more yardage because he was diving forward, didn't give himself up with the slide, and that spot's going to give him a first down.
And Dysert's trying to give his head coach a reason to keep him. Of course, Matt Moore not playing in this one with concussion, but Dysert's been out there moving around, completing some big balls, looks calm in the pocket, going to be called down there short of the first down. Oh, yeah, nobody touched him on there, did he?
Yeah, with feet first, you get the max protection. If not, you get the max yardage. But there's a question on the spot on the Falcons side. Chris, I think they heard you.
Well, and again, this is a young player on defense who doesn't really understand the rule and doesn't touch him down because he assumes that he's given himself up.
But don't you think when
Atlanta is challenging the forward progress spot?
Don't you think that it's so hard for defenders to hit a quarterback?
Oh, it is. No question. No doubt.
So if your toe hits the towel, does that mean you're down by contact? That's a little bit of the question here. It may not be enough to overturn this. Again, because he's sliding forward, he gets the full slide until he is touched and down by contact. And Dysert, as he's sliding, the towel touches the foot of the defender.
The ruling on the field stands. Atlanta will be charged with their first team timeout.
And thus the rule, it stands, not confirmed.
Right. They couldn't tell exactly where that contact was initiated.
But if you had to bet $20 on it, would you say hit that towel?
I would say
I say hit that towel.
I know you would, Collinsworth.
And you know how tight I am with $20.
I found that out quickly this week. So it is first down for Miami at the Atlanta 44, 3:06 to go. And Dysert bounced around, not playing in Denver on practice squads over the last year, so he did have some time around Adam Gase. His familiarity with this system, and you're seeing some of that because he's running the offense smoothly. A.J. Cruz with a reception there.
Boy, that was nice, Tony, huh? I mean, that was a pretty tight window to be made, making this throw on the run. Watch this.
Great anticipation.
Yeah. That's nice. Tight spiral.
I love A.J. Cruz. He's a terrific story. He played defensive back, an all Ivy League defensive back at Brown. He had 12 interceptions. He's a linebacker. He's played all over in arena football. Played for the Los Angeles Kiss a couple years ago. Here he is trying to find a job. Dysert's hit all 6 passes. He's run for a first down. That time he slides feet first, so he gives himself up right shy of the 20-yard line.
And the big advantage Dysart has is Adam Gase knows him, and he knows what he can do and what he does well, and I think we're seeing that.
The biggest thing, Tony, I think walking around that locker room this week was everybody had this little air of confidence about him, and they all really liked Adam Gase, and they all felt like they were kind of going in a way that they were going to sneak up on people.
And I think that comes from Adam.
I do too.
Generates that confidence.
You know, and one of the things that, they're talking about, and Tannehill's saying, he has some plays in the red zone and some different that I've never seen before. I've never attempted some of these plays. And so I think when there's a feeling that maybe our coach knows as much as any of those top coaches out there, you start getting a little confidence going.
That old vibe in the building, the vibe in the building to it. Now, your record's 0-0, but it feels a lot better. Third down complete, and Dominique Jones into the end zone, but you saw the flag fly in, and as Jones got in for a touchdown, 2 flags thrown.
When someone comes that wide open, Chris, there's a good chance we got picked off.
Pass interference, number 82, offense, 10-yard penalty, still third down.
This isn't a pick. This is just a solid block by a hardy wide receiver. That's what I prefer to do it. Yeah.
Brandon Shippen, 82.
That's solid. Right? It's not quite as good as Brian Cox's hit, but that's pretty good right there.
Take it back to the 27-yard line.
The funny thing is on those pick plays, even in the huddle, we used to call them bingo instead of pick because the referees would listen in, so you couldn't say pick. But you don't really have to do that. You can stop and go back the other way as long as you break that guy's stride. It's amazing how many guys are so bad at running pick plays in the NFL.
What'd you guys call it?
Bingo.
Bingo. Incomplete Dysart. It'll be fourth down. Jalen Collins there on the coverage, and that's a player who is an interesting story with the Atlanta side because, as Chris mentioned earlier, 4-game suspension to start the season. You can play in the preseason. But the second-round pick last year out of LSU is a guy who they would figure to be counting on in some sort of a role in the secondary.
Well, and he played well at the end of the year last year, and he'll be right back in there as a starter after those 4 games. But then it comes down to, I think they have some optimism around Brian Poole and C.J. Goodwin. So I don't feel like they're overwhelmed at that position.
4-game suspension, performance-enhancing drugs, 45-yard field goal attempt. Marshall Kane able to bang it through. So Kane spent a couple of years in Iowa and a long field goal last year, 57-yarder, knocks one in there. Tonight Football is brought to you by Mercedes-Benz, the best or nothing. And by Geico, 15 minutes could save you 15% on car insurance. A sneak peek of Mercedes-Benz Stadium, the new home of the Atlanta Falcons. This is their last year in the Georgia Dome. They'll be in this new spectacular-looking building coming up in 2017. I spoke with Rich McKay before the game, and everything is on pace, and there's great excitement that's being generated about that building. As a matter of fact, you'll see the new stadium for the Falcons, the new stadium for the Dolphins, back-to-back Super Bowls after we're in Minneapolis at U.S. Bank Stadium. Super Bowl 52, of course, the destination for all 32 teams is Houston. And Super Bowl 51 this year. Devin Fuller, rookie out of UCLA, on that short kick, takes it across the 25 to the 27. Penalty flag is down. Not bad so far, just 3 flags on the Falcons, 5 on the Dolphins. Penalties assessed in this one.
Illegal block in the back, number 41, return team. After first down.
Tot for Walton, the boys out there too.
No problem. This is what that stadium will look like. The Georgia Dome will be imploded. They use that for parking, and you just get a sense that that scoreboard is going to wrap around the entirety of the stadium. That'll be 12 times more scoreboard space than they have in the current stadium, in the Georgia Dome, those 2 big boards. It really has a neat look to it, especially that way the roof closes, those different cantilevered sections there.
It's pretty awesome.
I think that one has a chance to be the one. I was getting a little scouting report on some of the details of that stadium, and it's give Arthur Blank some credit. He's putting his money where his mouth is.
Goes down that Shaw pass. Complete, untouched, though. Aldrick Robinson can get up and get going again to the 32-yard line.
Yeah, this Aldrick Robinson has done a nice job here. He really has. I was fishing around and I kept asking. I was like, okay, guys, you have to have some kind of deep threat on this team or they're just going to run a safety over the top of Julio Jones the whole time, Tony, right?
No, you want someone like this because they're going to get a lot of opportunities. No question. Robinson, if he can threaten defenses, he's going to be special for them.
He's had a few long ones already in preseason, so maybe he is going to be that guy.
That shot, it's great to have a veteran who can come in and just do all these things, really get a good assessment of these other players. Nick Williams, the catch to midfield as this third quarter will come to an end. Schaub's been at it a long time. It's been Kyle Shanahan's offense of his best days, too, with Houston. And looks very comfortable here. 17-6 Miami ended the quarter. More from Orlando after these messages. Dolphins join the NFL Foundation, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and Jacksonville Jaguars, the teams in the state here, presenting the One Orlando Fund with a check for $400,000. Is set up by Mayor Buddy Dyer here in Orlando after the aftermath of that terrible June shooting at an Orlando nightclub. The One Orlando Fund committed to providing 100% of the proceeds directly to victims, families, and survivors. Tip of the hat to the NFL Foundation and the three Florida-based teams for helping that cause. Fourth quarter begins here in Orlando. Dolphins leading by 11. Brandon Wilds with the carry. Penalty marker thrown. We get more of those here. The back end of this third preseason game.
Holding, number 60, offense, 10-yard penalty, still first down.
Tony, we saw Atlanta bring Matt Ryan and the starters out, and sometimes we'll hear that a lot, the games played this week. I want to bring the starters out for one series in the third quarter. What are coaches trying to do in a preseason game when they do that?
You want your players to get used to what's going to happen in the regular season. Hey, we're going to come in at halftime. We're going to make some adjustments. We want to see those executed at first drive of the third quarter. So most of the time, you want to bring your offensive and defensive starters in for that one drive in the third quarter just to see how they respond to those adjustments.
There's a former head coach in Tampa, Raheem Morris, who is now the assistant head coach here with Atlanta, but he's the wide receivers coach. He had spent his entire time on the defensive side of the ball, and now he's on the offensive side.
And I think that will help him, but he brings some knowledge to those receivers. Here's what defenders are trying to do to you. Here's how you can attack techniques. And it's not a bad thing.
And no, it's a very positive thing. And I can remember thinking, I almost would want to coach on the defensive side because what do you do as an offensive player? I never watch any offensive tape. I'm watching all the defensive tape. I spent 8 years of my life studying defense.
Schaub got hit there. Julius Wormsley, first-year player out of Tulane, who's been on practice squads in Seattle, Miami, and Houston, busting through to hit Schaub.
Wow.
Julius Wormsley, I think that's his third sack now of the preseason. Watch this move. Little step inside and then a quick lateral step, whether you're a wide receiver, a running back, or a defensive lineman. Lateral quickness is...
And being able to move your feet and hands at the same time. The slap, swim, and the movement.
And third and 27, give me a screen, get out of here. Cyrus Gray will take it across the 40. And Chris, on that sack, Wormsley beat Wes Schweitzer, a player who's in a potential battle for a guard spot, a starting guard spot here with Atlanta, so not good for Schweitzer.
Yeah, that's the only real battle going on with this offensive line. He's kind of that big mauler kind of a guy. And then you've got Chris Chester, who's they describe as being a guy with just incredible balance. You know, you get out there on those stretch plays and guys sometimes get pushed off or get knocked down. And they say it's pretty amazing that Chester can maintain his balance getting out around the edge.
So I'm getting congratulated there. We'll show you why in a second. The punt by Bosch will be fair caught at the 15-yard line by A.J. Cruz. So he got beat on that second down, third down screen. I'm going to get somebody back.
He made up for it.
Chris Jones felt the pain there.
The Falcons wanted to get faster on defense, and there you see the speed right there. Devondre Campbell, Deion Jones. First off, Deion Jones, watch him make a break here. The Backside tackle can't get there, able to make the tackle. Now the other way, Devondre Campbell. Make a play, get off the block once again. Big hit there. One more time, Devondre Campbell, just for a little added bonus. We're going to throw in some Keanu Neal, the #1 pick. Strength down the middle. You hear about it, Tony Dungy, in baseball all the time. It applies in football, too.
And Dan Quinn talked about speed down the middle. That's what really got him excited. These guys are fast.
Would you make the move? Would you just
I would. I would put those guys in and let them play.
New quarterback Brandon Doughty in for Miami. He handed to Daniel Thomas. There's nowhere to go for Thomas. Leroy Reynolds from Virginia made the play. Doughty, a quarterback, rookie out of Western Kentucky, 7th-round pick, started 38 games and put up some eye-popping numbers each of the last 2 years. At the top of the FBS, you throw 111 touchdowns. I don't care who it is, where it is, what it is.
Wow.
You got a clue about what you're doing.
It got Dan Marino's attention. I know that. I told Dan, I said, I heard you're the one pounding the table for Doughty. He said, who told you that? I said, I got my sources. I'm a journalist, man. But he was the one. He liked it.
And so many guys put up big numbers now in these passing systems. Griff Whalen caught it. It was knocked out. There was no whistle. And now they say that he was down by contact just shy of the 20-yard line. And Doughty had a good week 1. Did not play as well last week in Dallas. Let's see if Whalen had this.
Yeah.
Philip Wheeler.
Down by contact.
Nobody throwing the red challenge flag on the Falcons side, so it's 3rd and 5.
Omaha today.
That Omaha word there.
I was going to say, I just hear an Omaha.
Yes, you
I heard
did.
Rhode Island, which is a Peyton Manning pass protection also.
Doughty got the worst of that. He got rolled up on there, too.
So now Peyton won't get mad if you give away some of his tips.
Oh, yeah, you can say it now, right.
Well, Doughty's okay as he was getting brought down. He got rolled up on and hobbles off. Nordley Cappy with a big hit on the prior drive. Got to Doughty, who limps to the sideline. Training staff's over to look at him. Matt Darda punted away. J.D. McKissick back to receive again. Turn that baby over. Rocket shot, 57 yards. Took McKissick back to the 23. And a return of 8 to the 31-yard line. 11 and a half to go here in the 4th quarter. Falcons still looking for their first touchdown. Time in 46 years, the previous 2 Super Bowl combatants battle on the season's opening weekend. Broncos and Panthers in the NFL kickoff Thursday, September 8th. The celebration will begin 7:30 Eastern Time. The Hyundai Kickoff Show. Platinum recording artist One Republic, country music star Dierks Bentley get the party started live from Denver. And the season begins. Some interesting preseason conversation around the Broncos. Who's going to be the starter in a couple of weeks on opening night? There's Mark Sanchez, Simeon have been in the mix. Paxton Lynch played well at the end of the last preseason game the Broncos played against San Francisco. Brandon Wilds carries here for Atlanta. What do you think, boys?
I've got to ask Tony here, so I've got my coach right here. All right, so you've got Sanchez, you've got Simeon, and they're doing okay, right? They're doing okay. And Paxton Lynch, we just had this discussion about the young defensive players. If there isn't an appreciable difference between any of the quarterbacks, would you dare take a chance on a rookie quarterback with the defending world champions?
I think you would. If you really feel that he gives you a chance to win, you know you can always go to the other guys if you need to. I think Gary Kubiak is setting this up to say it doesn't matter who plays quarterback for us. We're going to get good quarterback play. I managed it last year. We got fine play. We got what we needed. We'll get what we need this year.
Scary, though.
They may all play.
You know,
the defense is still great.
How many times do you put together a team that has won a Super Bowl and then you lose your top 2 quarterbacks after that happens? But I think it's a really interesting question because the defense is so great and you want to develop players, right? Developing players is always part of this league. And if there's not a gap between what the other two guys do, Paxton Lynch could be a possibility.
Can you go out there, Paxton Lynch, not turn the ball over, not have the moment be too big? You don't have to play great. You don't have to be the focal point. You just have to play steady. And if he believes he can do that, I would not be surprised to see him.
Terrence Fede is the injured Miami Dolphin player they're looking at, slowly walking off without the help of the athletic training staff. But Fede in his third year in the league, he's played a good part, 15 games last year. One of the guys fighting for a job in the rotation here with Miami, with the players they've brought in, like a Mario Williams, like a Jason Jones. Second and 7, and here is Shaw. And floats it out again to Nick Williams from the University of Connecticut. Williams is into Dolphins territory at the 47-yard line.
You know, Matt Schaub's really an interesting sort of case study, isn't he? I mean, here's a guy that was traded right before the whole Mike Vick thing went down, that suspension, and you've got to believe the Falcons would have never traded him, you know, just a few months in between in that same offseason. Goes on, plays a couple of Pro Bowls out there, and now comes back at the end of his career, but he still has a little something.
And he knows this offense.
Again. Shoulder down by A.J. Hendy. So it was 3 years, Matt Schaub, there in 2004 that he sat behind Mike Vick, and that's what a dozen years in the league will do to you.
I'm not saying a word. I feel you, Matt.
First down.
What are you talking about? Have you looked over here and seen either one of us? We're not exactly keeping the barbers in business. But you're laughing over it.
Well, you know, we all just have a way of covering up.
But 4 teams in 4 years, Schaub comes back here now, and it gives you a very solid backup and a veteran. And they also have Sean Renfrey, their third quarterback, Matt Sims. All their quarterbacks have looked pretty decent here in the preseason.
We haven't even seen Matt Sims yet, but he's thrown it really well so far. So nice, tough decision to have to make as a coach. You know, how many of these guys that are playing well do you
Full
keep?
start, number 71, offense. 5-yard penalty, still first down.
It's Wes Schweitzer again.
But how nice is it to have a backup quarterback with experience in an offense? As a head coach now, you know you can't be coaching all the time, you know, and I'm sure Adam Gase would like to do it, but he has to deal with guys like us in the media and different responsibilities. But to have that backup quarterback that knows that system is really a help.
It helps you in that you know he can go in there and perform, but he also helps Matt Ryan during the week. And he helps the receivers, and that guy makes a difference in the meeting rooms. It's a big, big help.
Bunch of the yards back there as Austin Hooper catches one in the middle of the field.
Here's a guy that I think is going to be a factor. I really do. Obviously, Matt Ryan's going to be a factor too. But Austin Hooper he gets it. I watched enough of him at Stanford. He has confidence in his hands. He's willing to go up and get those high balls down the middle of the field that can really make a difference. You know, they don't have a Tony Gonzalez anymore. You know, I mean, think of what that was with Julio Jones and Tony Gonzalez and Roddy White. But if he can just fill that a little bit, and you know, Tony, since the new rules have come around, I don't know where they were when I was playing, but to throw a ball down the middle and not worry about getting hit under the chin, what a difference that makes.
And not be impeded that much either. You've got room to work, and you've got a chance to get open. If, as you say, if you're smart and you understand the game.
Well, that's a perfectly thrown ball there, thrown well before the break of the receiver, and that's what you get with a veteran quarterback.
Aldrick Robinson that reception. Rashawn Melvin on the coverage. Duck under 9 minutes left. Falcons still trying to find that first touchdown of this third preseason game. Shaw got rid of it. Crossing J.D. McKissick is down easily. Spencer Payson, your former Giant, special teamer, backup linebacker, making the play there. Well, that guy's got a familiar last name. That's Akil Blunt.
Yes, I saw him.
The Hall of Famer.
Yes, I saw him down on the field before the game, and he is probably weighs as much as Mel did. Not quite as tall, but he's got the genes.
I'm going to tell you what, Mel Blount, it took you a half an hour to run around him. His arms were 8 miles wide. My rookie year, I went out there and played against Mel Blount. I was like, there's no way.
Chris, that's the first guy I met in professional football. I get off the bus, they send you downtown to the hotel, and I'm looking around, don't know where I'm going. I see this guy, 7 feet tall, it looks like, because he's got cowboy boots and a cowboy hat on. And he said, I'm Mel Blount. And
now, why did you let him out jump you here for this pick?
Ball's coming right to me.
but Chris, did you notice on that one, as you see Akil Blount there, who played at Florida A&M, did you notice Tony's elbow pads had his number and his name on it? At 21. That was pretty impressive.
Well, that's because he was going to have to take him home with him and watch him.
Right.
That's a different day right there.
It was. And nobody would give him back to me if I lost it.
It's like they're in a sleepaway camp.
Oh, nice catch.
Terrific catch by McKissick, rookie out of Arkansas State.
Guys make catches now that just are stunning. Do you see him reach over the top of that? Watch him. He's going to reach over the top and make this catch against Jordan Lucas. He's kind of reach right up now, pull it up and over. It's amazing.
Why are they better now?
They throw so much in the offseason. The offseason workouts, it's non-contact, but there is so much throw and catch. These guys just have developed this skill.
Awesome.
Going to go for it here on 4th and 6. That's a second straight bad snap. And that Schaub's seen enough of that. A better quarterback doesn't need that. We talked about shotgun snaps that were a problem for Matt Ryan last year. Mike Person was the center for a lot of those bad snaps, and he was the author of 2 of those on this drive. Well, Sunday night is football night. We'll do that for you in a couple of nights. Up in Jacksonville, Andy Dalton and the Bengals take on Blake Bortles and the Jaguars. Sunday night football coverage begins 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific, only on NBC. I'm excited to get there and see the Jaguars. One of those teams that you start thinking, who's that one team out there that maybe has the young talent that can put it together? They've got a bunch of good folks.
I'm going to tell you, you think about that team. I'll get to it after the play.
46. Downey's still in there after getting rolled up on earlier. Completes the pass.
These two guys right here, though, they are something. Allen Robinson, 14 touchdowns, I think, a season ago. And he's like a Des Bryant kind of player. It does so many guys. It used to be, Tony, when I was playing receiver, if I wasn't 2 yards behind the defense, Kenny Anderson wasn't throwing it. Now, if you're even, these guys are rebounders. They're Charles Barkley out there on the field.
Allen Robinson is a dynamic player. Not that many people know about him because he hasn't been on a great team, but he can play the game.
Atlanta taking a timeout here with 5:58 to go. A little bit of confusion. Robinson, Hearns, the improvement of Bortles.
Team timeout. Atlanta.
The athletic talent that they've built and they've added through the draft this year on defense. Jalen Ramsey, Miles Jack. It's a team that's worth checking out. You know, you saw Minnesota last year make that move. Somebody always does. I'm not saying it's going to be Jacksonville, but you'd at least put them on the consideration list.
Yeah, and they're in a division where there's not a dominant team right now. There's not a team that you say, oh, they're going to win 13 games. I think Jacksonville is poised.
All right, you want to hear a good story? Adam Gase is telling us about trying to make up new words for Peyton Manning, right? He's trying it because they're constantly changing, and he's paranoid, and he's got to change them all the time. But Peyton wants to bring up, he wants to use like old quarterbacks like Bob Greasy or Darryl Moniker, and these 25-year-old kids, they have no idea who he's talking about. And so he said he used to have to go to like Scrabble.com and try to come up with words to use in their no-huddle offense.
Joseph Adai is a rookie for us, and we've got to play. It's Drysdale to the right and Koufax to the left. And Joseph Adai is, why did we call it that?
No surprise.
You have to get in your history book, Joseph.
But that was great because Peyton would always justify it by saying, we need to teach these young kids.
Yeah,
they need to learn more about the league, right?
Yeah. So now he becomes a head coach, right? So you're a head coach, you're not going to do all that garbage that used to frustrate you in the past. So he said, all right, Ryan Tannehill, this is your responsibility now. So he said he gave him the entire playbook. Hour and a half later, he came back, done, had the whole thing all laid out. But the generational thing is so true. Like we used to call, the boss block, the back on the safety and all that kind of stuff. So you had to come up with a word for boss. So Sam White wanted to call it Paul after Paul Brown.
Sure.
And our whole team was like, what are you talking about? It's Bruce. So it was Bruce Springsteen, right? The whole, but it is a generational kind of thing.
Springsteen's still doing that, by the way. Did 4 hours in Jersey yesterday, just cranking out the concerts. Speaking of Jersey, by the way, shout out to Bill Parcells. Tuna turned 75 earlier this week.
Really?
Happy birthday to Coach Parcells.
Congratulations, Bill.
Did you check the exactas this week to see if they're...
You know, it's funny you said that, Chris. The second race in Saratoga on the day of his birthday, there was a 5-7. So if he played the Quinella, then he cashed on his birthday.
He wouldn't have. He played the exacta.
Of course, Bill was involved in the front office here in the Dallas, New England, the Jets, and the Giants, and fingerprints all over the league. And one of the great people.
75. I remember interviewing with Bill Parcells for the secondary job with the Giants, and it was the most amazing football experience I've ever been involved in. Very detailed man, and you could tell they were going to win.
All right. As horrible as you were to try to get anything out of when you were a coach, he was worse than you.
It's his 3rd and 12, and Dowdy flipped it forward just as he was about to go down, found his running back Daniel Thomas there, but just a minimal gain as Dowdy tried to keep that play alive.
We used to laugh because we'd go in with Parcells and you sit there and I'd have my notepad and I'd be writing all these notes and he'd be telling great stories and we'd be laughing and doing all these different things. And then I got my notebook back to the room and there wasn't one thing on there I could possibly use. We laughed a lot, but it did us absolutely no good at all.
I always tried to tell you guys what we're going to do. I didn't try to hide anything.
Yeah. You wouldn't even shake our hand.
He says sheepishly. Matt Dart kicking it to the sideline here. And that'll go down inside the 10. Somehow, some way, Mr. Collinsworth, you and Al find a way to bring the magic to Sundays.
Somebody will give it up.
Boss to break. 3:06 to go. Monday Night Football is brought to you by U.S. Bank. And by Chevrolet, the most awarded car company, 2 years in a row. Back here with you in Orlando where this preseason game is being held, and we are all thinking about folks, especially down in Louisiana. Severe weather, other disasters, a lot of folks affected who are in need of your help. So support those impacted by texting Red Cross to 90999. Give $10 to the American Red Cross Disaster Relief. Great football fans, great folks live down in the bayou. Really hit hard by those floods. They're in our thoughts. New quarterback in for the Falcons. It is Sean Renfree, and he threw that one out to J.D. McKissick.
Boy, they have had enough in that area, haven't they?
Oh,
jeez.
A lot of that flooding in Baton Rouge. A lot of the folks who live there now were folks who were displaced by Katrina a decade ago. Renfree, 7th round pick out of Duke. Played for David Cutcliffe, terrific tutor of quarterbacks over the years. And this third-year player out of Duke played a couple of games for the Falcons. Minimal regular season action, but a decision to make in general. What are you going to do? You're going to keep 2 veteran quarterbacks. Will you keep a third? Matt Sims has played well in the preseason. Renfree has some experience. All part of the final roster construction. Cyrus Gray eludes a tackle, is brought down a couple yards shy of the first down by Mike Hull.
Tony, let me ask you about the day that is coming up. And obviously the cuts this next week are really tough to go from whatever, 90 to 75 or whatever. But that last day, a week from then, when you have to cut guys that have been on your football team for years and are truly friends of yours, how horrible is that day? That's the day that every player knows you don't go anywhere close to the coaching staff because they're all in misery.
The most difficult time of the year, and you don't always even know you're right. You're trying to do what's best for the team. You're trying to make decisions about guys who might not be quite as good now, but they're going to be better. And it is difficult. When you cut guys who have taken you to the Super Bowl, it is very, very hard.
Cedric Reed just made that sack on Renfree. Gets us to the 2-minute warning here in Orlando. Tonight's aerial coverage brought to you by Geico. So, Tony, we're pulling into the stadium, and Chris starts telling me about his exploits here, that he played in the Citrus Bowl. Well, we've got Chris Collinsworth. Before he was a Bengal, he was a mighty Gator in the Tangerine Bowl in 1980. Wayne Peace, the quarterback. Look at Chris Collinsworth. Bring it in.
Look at Wayne Peace. He could sling it now.
MVP of the game.
Chris was?
Chris.
You know what the best part of it was? My all-time hero was Johnny Unitas, who was calling the game, and I got a chance at the end of the game to go be interviewed by him. But Boomer tells the story. Boomer was on the other team. So we're on the far sideline. I had to come over here to do the interview over here. So the guy grabbed me, and I didn't think anything of it. So I start jogging around. Of course, the Gator fans of my last game, my senior year, starts giving me and Boomer this day wears me out for taking a victory lap in my last game. I was like, no, I had to do the interview. He said, you did not. That was a victory lap.
Well, the game's up on YouTube. The interview happened as the game was wrapping up.
Yeah.
The game was still going on. It was crazy to watch. And the first thing you said, which was great, and you look comfortable in front of the microphone, by the way, even back then. The first thing you said was, you should be interviewing Wayne Peace, our quarterback. And they said, well, we just did. Great teammate from the start.
I learned that from Tony.
Who was the Maryland quarterback that game? Do you remember?
I was 22. I was a dope. No idea.
How about Mike Tice?
What?
How about Mike Tice? David Glidden makes that catch, and the rookie from Oklahoma State has the first down, but there's a flag there.
Well, I can't wait to wear him out, too.
What a good guy.
Offside, number 72. Defense, penalties decline. Play results in a first down.
Mike, the last time I was in this stadium, my son's high school team, playing high school, beat Bradenton Manatee in the state championship game here.
Is that right?
That's cool. Last time I was here.
Oh, man. And then off to Oregon?
Off to Oregon.
Yeah.
The last time they played an NFL preseason game in here, 1997, you
was here also.
That's right. That's right. So
how old are you anyway, man? You've been in everything.
He's in the stadium a few times.
He's a Hall of Famer. They don't age.
That's right.
They
Get
just
the
get
jacket
better
back
now.
out.
The first down picked up on the reception by Glidden. Minute 37 to go. Sean Renfrey and Atlanta close this one out. They host Jacksonville a week from tonight to wrap up the preseason. Miami will get back to their stadium and get that opened up and start their new run in the new place. Coach, thank you. We look forward to listening to you, hearing you, being with you on Football Night in America this fall.
Can't wait, Mike. And we'll start the Thursday night package in November. It's going to be awesome.
I know who you are, but to see you at the Hall of Fame was cool for all of us. I mean, you represent this game so well in so many different ways, and everybody, I think, got little chills watching you up there that night, and really proud of you.
Thank you, Chris. It was just, as I say, special and something you can't even describe.
It was awesome when Tony brought the Hall of Fame jacket to Rio and was on the set. People on the beach were looking, go, who's the guy? Why the jacket? That's because he's among the best of the best. And on the inside of the jacket, he was showing Dan Patrick. You get a number on the inside of the jacket, right? It has your name, and then what are you, 297?
297.
That's right. And who's 298?
Brett Favre.
Pretty good company.
In good company.
For him, too. Thanks.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
You know, it was amazing being down in Brazil and having people stop you and say, could you sign this? And
huge hit on Glidden, and the ball comes out. We'll see if that is ruled a catch and a fumble, and it is. And it's recovered by Miami. Shamil Gary, for the second time, comes up with a hit on a former Oklahoma State Cowboy.
Shamil Gary is getting some recognition out here tonight. Watch him come shooting up out of the middle right here. Absolutely clean hit. Catch, a couple of steps.
Helmet right on the ball.
Yeah, beautiful.
All good and legit, and looked to be recovered inbounds with the second step coming down by Lafayette Pitts.
Did he ever have full possession of that? Boy, I tell you, if I got to get into what's a catch again already, I'm just going to let it go.
And then on the back end of this, Pitts gets it, and yeah, he does get the second foot down before the other foot comes out of bounds. So
I don't know if he has it or not.
Got to secure the catch, 2 steps, and then essentially do something with it. Time to do something with it. There's the recovery. Right foot, left foot tapped down before the right foot comes out of bounds.
I don't know.
I think that's good. I'm not sure about the catch.
I'm not so sure that's good. When is it secure?
Previous play will be reviewed.
Yeah, all turnovers automatically looked at. So we'll look at this one here with 1:20 left in this preseason game.
Dean Blandino thought he could go home, but no, we're going to milk this one for all it's worth. You know,
I don't know if he ever got it put away.
That was a great toe tap here. Let's
but
watch
watch
it.
here. Watch the recovery, though. Watch the ball. It's still moving, still moving.
Oh, no, it's in its
you're
fingers.
going on the ball still moving part. We're watching the feed here.
Yeah.
It's the, and this is the way they judge these. Looking at real time, we so often slow them down. That the way you have to look at these bang plays are in full speed. While the ball is not secured, I feel like he's trying to do something. Ward off a would-be hit, protect himself, although he got popped by
Shamil Gary doesn't care. He just wants to talk about the hit.
That's right.
I tell you, it makes a difference when you have that hitter back in there.
It does.
Cam Chancellor, some of those guys, you had a pretty good one back in the day yourself.
Bob Sanders.
Well, he was one too, yeah. Lynch.
John Lynch.
What do you think about Adam Gase?
I really like him. I was down in Miami for their off-season workouts for a day, and the players like this guy because he does bring confidence to them. He relates to them. He's not that much older than they are. He talks their language. He works with all the video stuff and the electronics, and they like him. And I think he's going to do great.
He said, it was a funny story. He was talking about, as a head coach, right, you can listen to the offensive coaches and then flip it to the defensive coaches. He said, so I'm calling all this, and I'm doing it where I'm used to being on with the offensive coaches, and I flipped over the defensive coaches. And I had no idea. They really have no idea what we're doing.
The recovering player was on the sideline when he gained possession of the ball. So it'll be fourth down for Atlanta.
I called it.
So Tony triumphantly raises his arms. You know, it's good to see competitors. There's 1:20 left in the third preseason game, but you got this right, Tony.
It wasn't a catch on the recovery.
Oh, stop it.
He didn't put it away, as Mike said, and have 2 feet down with a chance to do something with the ball.
If it's in your fingers, you got it. You never dropped the ball that was in your fingers like that. Get another one.
So they got to reset the sticks, and it becomes fourth and about a third of the field here. 4th and 32 with 1:20 to go. And the Falcons are just going to go for it. One more snap to see guys on tape at this point. The outcome not significant. And referee throws on the sidelines. He took a hit right before he got rid of it. Austin Hooper with the catch. It'll be Miami ball on downs. They'll turn it over. Tony, we talked about you being in Rio. You told us this is one of the best sports moments that you've been a part of, being in the stadium to watch the gold medal soccer match in Brazil winning on penalty kicks.
Yeah, the whole night was incredible, but then the climax and the win and the way it had just exploded and the party went out into the streets, it was phenomenal.
Neymar, right? That was the guy. That's the world famous Neymar that ended up making that game winner.
And Olympic soccer is not the same significance as the World Cup. They were so embarrassed in the World Cup 2 years prior in that stadium. And that stadium, that's like their Lambeau Field. That's their shrine, the Maracanã.
What did Germany beat them, like 7-1 or something like that? And then
the
came back and got them,
yeah. And they were able to beat Germany in that final. The game ended in a 1-1 draw, but they advanced to won the gold medal on penalty kicks.
But I was starting to say, Mike, getting recognized down there, people ask me for my autograph, and I'd say, well, where are you from? You must be from the No, I'm from Brazil. I'm from Colombia. I'm from Belgium. And they've watched NFL football. That took me by surprise.
They just asked me for money.
Well, we talked about this earlier, Chris. Miami, everybody's schedule looks tough right now. This is brutal. They've got to play at Seattle, at New England, at Cincinnati. Cleveland's the only home game there in the first one. It's a very difficult stretch to start the season. 3 playoff teams on the road to get going. Now, you do get relief in October with the home games, but that's still a hard way to start your coaching career.
But you're also early in the season, may not see the absolute best out of the other teams as well. And you're trying to develop something. You're trying to put this offense together. So would you rather see those teams, because it's hard to get a win out of that schedule no matter what. Would you rather take your shot early or see them later in the year?
The thing you worry about as a coach is going on the road to those three places, Seattle, New England, Cincinnati, and now you're 1-3 or 0-4 at the beginning, and all the confidence leaves you. That's what you're concerned about.
Not many fans would say, 2-2 start, be really happy with that schedule. And then given what you saw, the next 4 games at home, including a bye week, 2-2, even 1-3, Miami might still be okay here to get started. So
I've heard people say New England's going to be happy if they go 2-2. I was like, you don't know New England.
No, they will not.
Tony, thanks.
Thank you, guys.
Great visiting with you.
Awesome being with you.
Congratulations,
in the studio. Thank you. And you saved me with Chris. This is the first game with him. He was about done at halftime. He was texting Al. He's like, when do you come back here? Well, Miami gets the win 17-6. Their offense looked good, especially in that first half with 199 yards. And they will move to 2-1 in the preseason. The Falcons will drop to 2-1. Join Chris Michelle, Fred Cadelli, Drew Esikoff, the great Sunday night team in Jacksonville on Sunday for the Bengals and the Jaguars, 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific. Coming up next, except for the West Coast, your local news. And later tonight, it's all-new Tonight Show starring Jimmy Fallon. With Chris, Michelle, the entire team, I'm Mike Tirico saying good night from Orlando.